Hey everyone! How's it going today? We've got a couple things to do. One of them is we've got a little bit of a celebration because my channel, after a long 12 years and some change, has finally reached 700,000 subscribers. If you had 3D glasses, I swear it would look a lot cooler. So thanks to everyone for that. And so this is a 700,000 subscriber celebration / because I don't just want to have a Q&A for today. We're also going to be practicing making some Korean adjectives. So first of all, let's just see who's here in the chat. We just started. I know some people are still funneling in. Who was the first? Fisho was the first person to say, hey, Fisho. Lynn, hey, Lynn. Hey, good to see you. Same to you as well. Same to you. Taehyung's, Kuma, Keith, Kai, a few other people I recognize. Yes. So I thought it would be appropriate for celebrating that you got to have like a celebration, like you have to have festivities, right? So that's why I had this little thing a second ago. But you also got to have something to eat. So I've got this. I don't know who of you is watching is German, but this is supposedly it's a traditional German almond cake from the very German brand Aldi. I don't know how you pronounce it in German. It's probably Aldi. So I'm going to try some of this. It's been in my freezer waiting for a special occasion. It's been there for like, I don't know, probably 4 months now. Like saying, please eat me. So smell is like really, really good. It's like, it's sweet. Did I get some? I think that's my nose. It's like almondy sweet. I guess it should since it's almond cake. So I'm going to try a bite. You're supposed to defrost it, but I'm just eating it cold. And I heard that tastes good too. Yeah. The center is kind of like I don't know if it's vanilla ice cream, but it's kind of like an ice cream center almost. And with like a regular vanilla cake and then like a layer of candied almonds on the top. Yeah, I like it. I'll be eating this today during the stream. Hold on. Add Astra. Add. Addy. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Ad Astra. Happy holidays to you as well. Whatever anyone is going to be celebrating soon, happy holidays, happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. What else is there around this time? The pagan holiday for something else. And then there's like the German tree day. There's all the stuff going on this month, isn't there? If you're wondering, we will have another live stream on Sunday, even though it's a few days before Christmas. We're still going to be doing a live stream. Yes, and thank you so much, Ad Astra. So, Ad, do you mind if I call you Ad? You can exchange your dabs anytime you like. Now, some people strategically hold on to their dabs and exchange them when the exchange rate it gets a little bit higher, so they get more. Or you could exchange them right now. It's kind of like an IRA. So if you're really savvy with investing, then you might be able to get a few extra dabs out of it, depending on when you exchange. But whenever you like, it can be today, it can be another time, you can exchange your dabs your cash, your donations, your sponsorship for today into dabs. That's up to you. And again, thank you so much. Let's see. Yeah, Kai, ad beat you first. Although to be fair, Kai, it's not your spot. Know your place. Yours is at the 0 minute mark. Don't you dare try any other minute. Someone asks, is it frozen cream? Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's kind of like ice cream, but you're supposed to defrost it when you eat it. So it can't be ice cream or it would all melt, but it kind of has the texture of ice cream. So I'm guessing it's some sort of like thick cream. Zai asks, do they have Aldi in Korea? No, I'm not in Korea. Thank you. I see some of the people that are saying congratulations. Thank you. That's why I'm doing this this stream today as an extra stream. I predicted successfully that I was going to hit 700,000 subscribers sometime around this weekend, but I didn't think it would happen on Thursday, right after I posted the first ATs video. I didn't think that many people would subscribe. I thought it would take me like 3 or 4 days after that. But yeah, I started a new ATs analysis series, and that very first day, I think I got like 1,500 subscribers or something like that from the first day or so, which brought me right over 700,000. Thank you, Lady That Mug, Carly. I'm just reading everyone here. Oh, Kitty Mommy says, Aldi is not pronounced the same in German, but I'm not sure how to explain it. Aldi. Is it a longer A? You say Aldi? What's the German L sound? Aldi? Is it Aldi? I crashed out last week. It was for his benefit. He hadn't had his dab worked out. That's right. Yeah, you did cash out. So I shouldn't drop 700,000 as a celebration. I warned you. I said no. How many times do I have to? Don't even think about it. If it's not your minute, you get in trouble. Thank you, Naomi. Congratulations for 700K. Thank you. Yes, all your Adobe money. You know what, Kai? Last time you're like, Kai's jokingly like, so, Billy, what do you think about Adobe? And I'm like, I don't like it. And Kai's like, interesting. Well, I can't remember. You're like the something at Adobe. And I'm like, you're joking. Of course it was a joke. I still Googled it to check because I was like, I sure hope not. That would be awkward. And I Googled them and you're not, Kai, you're not. I checked. Unless they didn't update the website. Pretty sure you're not like the leader of whatever it is at Adobe. I didn't see anyone with that name. Unless that's not your real name, Kai. In which case, I don't know, you might be. Creative Director of Marketing and Sales. That's right. That's what you are, yes. This is an alias, Billy. No, it is your real name. Everyone's name right here is your real name. Don't try to tell me that. Like here, for example, Golden Buffy. That's clearly, your first name's Golden. I don't know your middle name, to be fair. That is a bit anonymous. There could be other Golden Buffys, but your last name is definitely going to be Buffy. I know that. No one puts in fake names on the internet. The internet is like the most trustworthy place in the entire world, and the names that I see here, I know those are your real names, like Kitty Mommy. Now, since you didn't space it, I don't know what your last name is, but I at least can know that your first name is Kitty Mommy. So don't tell me that kind of stuff, Kai. You can't trick me. Wes says, how many music videos have you made? I've made two come to mind really quickly. There's Jigyeok Hajima, and then there's also the K-popper Suji Marayo video. And that's all that comes to mind right now. There might be others hidden in the channel, but I can't remember. But the most recent one and the actual, like a real full music video was the Jigyeok Hajima one, which I made together with the other Korean teacher who appears in the video, Semur, as well as her, actually, I don't know if I want to say exactly, as well as a producer in Korea that I knew through her, who made the beats and everything. And then we met up and sang together and everything, put it together. You can find all the information in the description for that. But that was an actual, like, we made it as a music video. I'd like to do that again someday. Mike E says, what Billy says about the internet is true. ChatGPT told me so. Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT literally is like a living, breathing human being. It cannot be wrong by definition, right? Everything it says is true. So let's see here. Although it's kind of funny. Oh, Ad Astra. Okay, I was looking for Ad Astra's reply because I had said something. Ad says, do what feels right. Well, I'm going to hold on to them then. They're going to be in your account. All you have to do is just tell me whenever you're ready. Be like, Billy, I have 50 in the bank. I'd like to cash out. But if you don't do it today, I might forget how much it is. So you could take advantage of that. You could say, Billy, I'd like to cash out my 20,000 dabs. And I'll just have to believe you because I won't know. But I'd hope you wouldn't take advantage of me like that. But it's up to you how you'd like to do it. Either way, much appreciated. I see you know your judo well, if judo is sarcasm. Do you know what EID? What's that? Flood of Sins says, my full name is Flood of Sins. No, your first name is Flood of Sins. You did not space that. If it was Flood of Sins with spaces, then I would know your first, middle, and last name. But since you didn't space it, you can't trick me. I know that's your first name, but I don't know your last name, so it'd be hard to find you. Thank you, Mr. Renchify, for congrats on 700K. Yeah, I never thought that I'd be here. I really didn't, because it took me like, gosh, I think like 6 years to hit my first 100,000. I don't know if anyone remembers, but I did the first 100,000 live stream, I think in like 2018, and I started in 2012, and I've been doing this every single week. I upload like, now it's 3 or 4 videos every single week on weeks that I have live classes. Like last week, it'll be the live class, so that's 1 video. The Korean FAQ, that's 2. An abridged version of the live stream, and then another video. And then whenever I'm uploading a course, it might be a 5th video on top of that. Wait, I don't know why I did this. I have a 5th finger. A 5th video on top of that. So I'm uploading like so much content, but it took me forever to reach 100,000 and get my my silver button. But now it's like, the last time I hit 600,000 was last summer in Korea. So about a year, almost a year and a half ago. My goal is going to be 1 million. I'd like that. I want to get the gold button. Because, you know, when I get the gold button, that means instantly I'm a celebrity. That would be really cool. So maybe someday, give me another like 5 years. We'll see. If I make enough popular videos, I'll get enough subscribers for that. Yeah, it's already 701. I wanted to wait until it was 701,000, because if it's 700,000 and I stream, it's possible that people could be like, I don't like this guy. He's getting a little bit cocky now. Gonna unsubscribe, and then it drops below 700,000, and then I'd be really embarrassed. Miwa is saying something I don't understand. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barak. I have no idea what I'm reading. Golden Buffy said, it's funny how it took Hongjuk for me to find you. Yeah, I actually finished yesterday. No, 2 days ago, I finished editing the episode for Seonghwa. It is... If you like the Hongjung episode, you're going to love the Seonghwa episode. It's longer. And today I'm hoping to finish the Yunho video. I already started that yesterday. I worked on that all day yesterday. Hopefully I can finish editing that tonight, if not tomorrow. And yeah, because I've already filmed them all. I spent 3.5 weeks writing them all, and then I filmed them all. And now I'm just slowly editing, taking my time, making sure they look nice and everything. Takes about 2 to 3 days to edit each one. Salam alaikum is hello in Arabic. Oh, that's cool. Peace be upon you. That's what you tell someone when after you like curse them out in your language that they don't speak. They're like, what'd you just say about me? Peace be upon you. Oh, thanks, bro. Peace be upon you. That's what I would do. Yes. 300,000 more fans. Yes. I think it's possible if I continue making occasional videos where I analyze Korean K-pop groups, then I think it'll be possible to hit 1 million. I don't know what the next group will be. Again, that will be something that my fans choose, the Patreon members and channel supporters. What I did last time is I made a post on my Patreon page earlier this year where I said, what group would you want me to analyze next? And originally I did it last year and most people picked Blackpink, but this time when I did it, but then we eventually picked a different group. But this time when I did it, I thought that everyone would pick that again, but instead most people chose different groups. So then I took the ones that they picked, made a vote, and people chose ATEEZ as the number 1, slightly more than the others. So that's why we're doing ATEEZ today. But I don't know what it'll be next time, because whatever group is really popular seems to change by every year. Now the fans there'll still be lots of fans, but it's like there will be a boost for some groups sometimes. So whatever that fan group is currently extra popular is the one that I'll do. Sometimes they'll go down, but then they'll go back up again. Like I think Stray Kids at a time was really high and then went down a little bit. It seemed in popularity, but then whenever they release like a new album, it'll go up. Evie says the ATEEZ Hongjung video is great. Thank you. Yes. And I'm also glad that people like the ATs videos because they took a lot of work. It really took a lot of work. Please, 17 next. Oh, and we do have a short lesson for today, if you're wondering. We're not just going to be doing a Q&A. I'm going to start at about the top of the hour. We're going to play around with some Korean adjectives. So I have a really quick outline. It's not like a full outline like you get for a lesson because it's more loose. But I felt like we should probably practice adjectives. I found a lot of people still have issues with that. It's difficult. There are a lot of rules you have to remember. So we'll do that too today. Angie said, it was funny when you said don't use them to learn Korean. Yeah, though, to be fair, this applies to most of the members. Yeah, I was not expecting 8 goofballs when I started doing this analysis series. So, but it's funny now, like after doing so much analysis of them, when it comes to their like discography or like, you know, facts about the members and stuff like that, I know less than like literally any other member, any other fan. I would know much less about that than anyone else, like what music they did, what concerts they did, their favorite color, you know, all this stuff. I know very, very little, next to nothing about that sort of stuff. But when it comes to how they sound, their personalities, I probably know much more than the average fan at this point. Just that's all I've been focusing on. But yeah, I didn't even know that there was I guess a song that came out called Deep Dive. In fact, it just came out like 2 days after I started to research for the video. I think it came out like November 15th. And I started to research for this video like immediately right after that, like the same weekend. And I named the series ATs Deep Dive because I thought, well, it's a deep dive into ATs. But I had no idea that there was a song called Deep Dive after that, even after posting the video. I didn't know until someone commented, hey, Billy, nice name for a title. I didn't know. I have no clue what's going on. I don't know which one's the best dancer or the best singer. I don't even know what part they each do, other than if they specifically, you know, keep saying it, then I'll notice it, because I haven't been paying attention to that. Kitty says, I'm having trouble downloading the cheat sheets. Oh, they're images. So Kitty Mommy, you can just right click and save them as an image. You don't need to, there's no like separate download button or anything you have to do. Once you access the post, you'll see a bunch of images at the top. All you do is you just right click and save the image. That's it. Do you have a schedule plan for the ATs videos? I do. They're all scheduled already. All 8 of them. They will be one new video every other week. So you'll have to wait a bit. But there's a reason for that. Because if I did upload one every single week, or even worse, one twice a week, my entire channel would transform into ATs. And then what happens is people who subscribe to me for learning Korean would unsubscribe or stop watching my videos. And then as soon as the AT series ends, all the ATs fans who came in would stop watching my videos, and it would kind of kill the channel for a while. So to avoid that, to keep my channel still focused on learning Korean, I don't want to upload them more than once every 2 weeks. But they will all be finished before. Like I'll probably have all of them finished by the middle of January, I think. But you'll have to wait until like March to see all of them, just because I can't upload them too frequently. And that's the issue with a group that has 8 members. Now, some people in the comments were saying, Billy, you should analyze NCT next. I Googled them. 26 members or something ridiculous like that. How am I supposed to analyze 26? Do you know how long that series would be and how long it would take me to research? This series was 3.5 weeks of research, let alone like not even filming it and editing it. Just researching was 3.5 weeks. And that was quick. I was like rushing. I would wake up 6:30, take my kid to school, shower, get ready, everything like that. Start working from 8:30 or 9 at the latest. Take a break for an hour for lunch, sometimes less, and then keep working, you know, watching videos and taking notes until like 7 p.m. And I did that every single day, including on weekends, for like 3.5 weeks. So imagine 26 people. I would be doing that for like 3 months or 4 months straight. And then I'm going to upload 26 videos. That's going to be a full year. It's going to be the year of NCT. So yeah, You have to think about this carefully, what group you suggest. Now, if you want that, I will do it. If enough people would watch that sort of thing, I would do it. Because frankly, it's fun and it's I don't mind doing it. I think I can do it. I have a system for things to look out for and like a note system and everything for this sort of series. It would just be a really, really long endeavor. Like it would be faster to make a whole new series, like a course for learning Korean, plus a book, and then advertise that in less time than I can make a series about a group that big. So. But like I said, it depends on what the members want. So I don't take requests from regular comments because there are too many requests and I wouldn't be able to do them. But I do take requests from Patreon. So if that's one way, if you really, really want to request a group, I'll make a Patreon post about it after this series is finished. And that's when I'll let Patreon members decide like which members or which group or whatever they want me to focus on for the next series. Yeah, Evie Poo, glad you like them. You should get into ATs. Best decision ever. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I don't follow any groups. So I don't listen to very much Korean music just in general. So instead of that, what I usually do is I find after I watch a lot of their content and listen to them a lot, I just gain like a bigger respect for them, I guess, if that makes any sense. But I'm not like, I don't go to any group's concerts or I'm not going to be buying anyone's music because I just don't listen to Korean music very much in general. But yeah, I still like doing the series though. They're fun just to kind of learn about how do these performers or entertainers, how do they speak Korean? What do they sound like? You know, what things are fans missing out on by not knowing Korean? Liliette says, thanks for helping me get around Korea. Oh, nice. Have you thought about N-hyphen? I've thought about a lot of groups. Have you ever seen a foreigner in Korea say something offensive and they didn't know what it was? Yeah, I have. Of course I know him. It's me. Yeah, I've said that before and I've said offensive things that didn't know. Hey, Kai. Thank you, Kai. I saw Kai's name. I'm always scared that it's like, here, Billy, here's my name badge from work at Adobe. Top of the hour. I'm so happy for you, Billy. You're an incredible source, super helpful and always awesome. I hope you know how appreciated you are. Thank you. Well, now I do. I didn't before, but now I know. Thank you. That's how I feel into ATs. I got into them by accident. I watched the Hongjung video with my mom. Nice. What offensive thing did I say in Korean? I've said a lot. Just general Korean mistakes are so easy to make. Using the wrong word for you, using the wrong politeness level can be very offensive. And the more Korean you speak, the more offensive it is. If you don't know any Korean and you say some of these words, no one's going to care. But if you speak Korean, you're having a conversation with someone and you make one of these politeness level mistakes, it sounds offensive. Like they'll be taken back a little bit. They'll be like, wait, they're foreigner. Oh, that's right. I shouldn't be mad, but I still feel uncomfortable. So it can kind of kill the conversation. I've done that sometimes before especially when I was a beginner, even when I was intermediate, I would make these mistakes that it's like, oops, I shouldn't have said that. Like I accidentally used casual speech when I should have used, formal speech or something. So it happens. The chat won't let me upload a picture. Sure. Totally believe you. Totally. Okay, now this is melted a little bit more. These Germans make some good desserts. Some almond cake I got. Okay. So, let me check the chat really quick. Mystery Weeb says, can you analyze Felix? Search my channel. I already have. Okay. So, we're going to talk about making adjectives. Now, this is not a full lesson. We don't have an outline or a worksheet for today. It's just something extra. That way we're not just chit-chatting the whole time. Adjectives in Korean would be something like where you take a descriptive verb. So like, let's just take a really simple descriptive verb. I wrote that kind of weird. 좋다, to be good, right? So to be good, well, making this into an adjective, now this is a descriptive verb because it's describing something good. To make this into an adjective, that's making this into something that we can use to describe something directly. So I'll give you an example. This is not an adjective. This is not what we're talking about. If you conjugate this to the regular Yule form, you get 좋아요. Like if someone says, how is it? And you want to say, to be good. So you conjugate it. It is good. 좋아요. This just means it is good. In English, it's an adjective, but in Korean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that because 좋아요 is not describing anything directly. You're just saying something is good. You're not saying good noun. You're not saying good idea, good work, good food. You're not saying good something. You're just saying is good. It is good. This is a verb. You're just using this like a regular verb. You're conjugating it. This, everyone here probably knows how to do to make the yo form. What I'm talking about that we're going to be doing today is when you want to take this verb, this descriptive verb, and you want to put it before something to directly describe what kind of something it is. And when I say something, I mean a noun. So like, let's just put the noun, I don't know, 생각. 생각 means a thought or an idea. So if we want to say a good idea, how would we do that? You might know, we're going to cover the rules for this again, but you could just directly say 생각이 좋아요. Literally, the idea is good. Oh, 생각이 좋아요. That idea, because 생각이 좋아요, that idea is good. That's okay. But you're not saying good idea. You're just saying the idea is good at the end of the sentence, 좋아요. But if you want to say something, an adjective to describe something that comes after it, you have to change this into a different form. You can't say like 좋아 생각 or 좋아요 생각 or 조 생각 or anything like that. You have to change it. So we're going to be talking about that because there are a few rules you have to learn for it. Fortunately, though, this is easier than you think it is. So I'm going to simplify this and make it really simple. There are a bunch of little rules, but there are only a couple we have to actually worry about. Just check the chat real quick. Billy doesn't want to chat with us? Rude. Yeah, I mean, I will. A few more weeks, I'll do another live stream where we'll just kind of chat, but not today. Maddie says you can analyze some wavy. What's that? What's wavy? That's another group? Wavy? I've never heard of them. Okay, let's see. 17? Yeah, I don't know how many members are in there, but the name scares me. Just the name. Are they 17 years old? Or are there 17 of them? Both of them scare me. The way all of these work is you're going to take something. Let's just say a verb stem. Verb stem is just the original verb without the ta at the end. So like for the verb 좋다, it's just this. So you take a stem, you're going to take something and you're going to add either un or you're going to add just a nian. And that's it. That's the basic rule that applies in every single case. Now, there are some things you might have to do to certain verb stems before getting to here. But after you get to here, after you get to the verb stem that you need to use, you're going to either add un if what you end up with ends with a consonant. So that's any of the letters like that, any of the consonants. Or if it doesn't end with a consonant, if it ends with a vowel, you're just going to attach a nian. That's the N letter. So let's look at this really quick. Again, this is the rule that applies to every single verb in Korean. Now, again, there will be some exceptions to this part, but this part is always going to be the same. So for this part, so let's take the verb 좋다. Well, 좋다, we already said the verb stem ends in this, so it's a consonant. So we attach un, And we're done. 좋은 생각. You can say 좋은 생각이에요. It is a good idea. Or 좋은 생각이었어요. It was a good idea. Or you can have 좋은 음식, good food. You can have 좋은, I don't know, whatever. Anything good, something. Note, good noun. You cannot ever do good verb here. That doesn't make any sense. So never use an adjective, never use one of these types of adjectives in Korean with a verb. So like don't ever say 좋은 이에요. It is good something because it's missing the something. It needs a noun. You can never, ever, ever use this without implying a noun. There has to be a noun there. Now that doesn't mean you'll never see it without a noun, but it'll always be used to refer to a noun directly. Like if someone gives what do you call it? An incomplete sentence and they end the sentence before saying it, that could work. But if you're ever going to use this in a sentence, you have to follow it with a noun. You cannot follow with like 좋은 이었어요 or 했어요 or anything like that. It has to be a noun. So that's tip number one, because a lot of people I see do adjectives like this and then they just add 이에요 at the end. It makes no sense in Korean. So you have to have something. So it's a good something. If you wanted to just say it is good, you wouldn't do this. You would just conjugate 좋다. Normally you get 좋아요 or 좋습니다, right? Or 좋아, depending on what you're saying. 좋은 has to follow, a noun has to follow 좋은. Noun modifying. Yeah, but that's too fancy. I try to avoid the terminology as much as I can. But yeah, it is. Noun modifying, talking about, if you want to get technical, this would be your modifying clause here, because you can have other things that go behind here, but we're not going to go into that because that's for nerds. Or when you get really good at Korean, you could talk about things like that. Okay. 완벽한 것이란 없다. Yeah. 완벽한 것 is a noun. 것. It has to be followed by a noun. I forget the terminology. Yeah. So I usually, whenever I can, I try to avoid terminology. Though some things I still do, like I'll say descriptive verb and add action verb. Though to be fair, when I started teaching Korean, the term action verb and descriptive verb were not commonly used. They were instead, typically sources would refer to them as verbs and adjectives. Believe it or not, 좋다 would be listed as adjective, and like 하다, to do, would be listed as verb. That's how they used to be taught when I was learning Korean, and even up until when I started teaching Korean. But I thought that was weird. So as soon as I started teaching Korean, you'll see I refer to them as descriptive verbs and action verbs. I didn't make up those terms because I'd seen them in some other books, but I'd really like those instead of just calling them adjectives, because they're not really adjectives. They're adjectives when they become like this. They work like adjectives in English, but otherwise they're not really adjectives. Okay, so that's the basics. If you know this part, 90% of the cases you're going to get it right. Because this is what always you'll add to something, the verb stem. But we need to talk about this before we go any further. Before we talk about any exceptions, we need to talk about what this is. Because if you understand what this is, it's going to help you a lot when you start learning about other things you can attach to verb stems. So this ending, un or nian, is actually present tense. Now, what does that mean? Like, if you make a descriptive verb into an adjective this way, by attaching un or nian to the verb stem, you're actually saying an adjective that's in the present tense. So, for our previous example, we had like 좋은 생각, right? I'm writing it up here. You already read it, so it's okay. It's a little messy, right? 좋은 생각. So I said 좋은 is good, 생각 is idea, good idea, and you can say 이에요, right? It is a good idea. Great, but there's a little more to it. Because 좋은 is actually a present tense adjective. It's not past tense, it's not future tense, By being present tense adjective, what that literally means, and this is actually important because there are other tenses, what this actually means is it is, right now, it is present tense. Good. So, an idea that is present tense, that is good. Or a is good idea. This is really important. This is an important distinction because Keith says, were they still 형용사? Yeah, the terms are 동사 and 형용사 is adjective. So if you're talking about translations into English, 형용사 is what you would call an adjective, like blue, green, or whatever. That's 형용사. But in Korean, 형용사 is actually that verb that you conjugate. So even though the word correctly is adjective, it doesn't work like an adjective in English at all. So I don't like those terms. The Korean terms are fine, but I don't like the English terms that they used to be used as, is what I mean. So, 좋은 생각. It is good. So, is good idea. Not just good idea, but is good idea. And that's important because there is a past tense version and future tense version. And what that is like this. An idea, not an idea that is present tense, not an idea that is good, but an idea that was good for past tense. And that actually is common. Or an idea that will be good. And when you see this with other types of verbs, it'll really sound natural. This one's not so natural. You would never say a sentence like an idea that will be good. But there are lots of cases where you're going to use future tense as well, just not with this verb. You'll see it with action verbs a lot, like daily, multiple times in the same sentence sometimes. But with descriptive verbs, not as much, but it's the same concept. Anytime you see a descriptive verb with the stem that ends with un or a nian, what it is present tense. Okay, so, and we'll come back to that. And that if you know that, it's going to help you translate things better because you do need to know the tense of it. So I said that really all you're adding is un or a nian, depending on it. But there's some things you have to do to this part, depending on the verb. For certain verbs have exceptions. Now we already looked at one verb, 좋다, and that's really easy, just 좋은. Here's another one, 이다. 이다 is the most common verb in Korean, descriptive verb. I mean, a lot of linguists don't even call it a descriptive verb because of the way that it works, but I think it is. It pretty much, it works the same. It just has some exceptions. So 이다, let's get the stem. E, it ends with a vowel, right? In, we're done. So let's take a look at something else. Let's say 한국 사람. 한국 사람 is Korean person. Now there's supposed to be a space here. I just don't have space. 한국 사람 이에요. Normally you might say, right? 한국 사람 이에요. So they are, or I am, or he or she is a Korean. Well, 이다 here. 한국 사람인, let's say a teacher, 선생님. Now, this is not the most natural example. There are other ways you can say Korean teacher, but literally this means, so 한국 사람, Korean person, in, so is, and a 선생님, a teacher. So a teacher who is, present tense, is a Korean person, is what you get. Not a teacher who was a Korean, which obviously makes no sense, or a teacher who will be a Korean teacher, but a teacher who is in present tense, who is Korean. So I'm going to pause for just a minute and read the chat, and then we're going to talk about some really common exceptions to this part. Copula, yeah. They call it the copula as well as I believe the Japanese ta as well, like that. The reason is because it can stick on the end of other things that not necessarily would be considered like, oh, that's obviously a noun, so it can only go on a noun, so they don't call it that. It's a descriptive verb. It conjugates like a descriptive verb. The irregularities of it are normal for a descriptive verb, so it's a descriptive verb in my mind. But in case you ever see someone refer to it as the copula, they are being a language geek because it's technically sure, but it works like a descriptive verb. You don't really have to worry about it. What about nun? Yeah, Val, that's not for today's lesson, but that is also the present tense for action verbs. If we had a lot more time in this lesson, I would go over that. Maybe we can go over that the next time I do one of these little like bonus lives talking about conjugating adjectives. I've already done actually a full lesson about this. This isn't a new topic. Just today is just for kind of review and practice because I still see a lot of people have trouble with this form. Can, 되다. No, 되다 is a verb just like 하다. Now, 하다 can be 형용사 when it's used, depending on how it's used. But by itself, it is an action verb. But if you ever see 하다 on a verb that does not separate, you cannot separate it into two parts. Like, for example, if you see like 공부하다, you could have 공부를 하다, 공부 안 하다. Like that, you can separate it because it literally means 공부 studying and 하다 to do. But if you have another 하다 verb like 그러하다, or a verb that has 하다 inside of it, 피곤하다, but you can't say 피곤 안 하다. If you can't separate it, that means the 하다 is a descriptive verb. So it's part of, but it's not even separate. It's just part of the verb. And that means to be, not to do. There's a long explanation for that, but you don't really need to worry about that. Not Natty is saying, no. So what you said, if you said 꽃 in 작품, you're saying a art piece that is a flower. If you can think of a situation for that, you can, but you don't really need, you can just say 꽃 작품, like a flower art piece. That's what you'd say in English too. So you don't need to use something that is, unless there's no other way to do it. I'm taking a college Korean course and they still teach it as verbs and adjectives. Yeah, like I was saying, when I first started teaching Korean, that's what all the teachers were doing. And I don't remember where I first saw someone explaining them as action verbs and descriptive verbs. I just remember as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, I like this much better. So that's what I always use. But still, the default at the time was just adjectives and verbs, which is weird because they both are verbs. Not to scare learners, but this can even be used as a future tense. Nope, it cannot. It can be used as past tense if that's what you mean. But that's with action verbs, not with descriptive verbs. I think you meant to say past tense. What is the direct translation for is and the in Korean? Is and the? What are you asking for? Let's see. For Koreans, how do they work? How do they feel when hearing something like 취미가 어떻게 되세요? Oh, the 어떻게 되다. That's there is a literal translation for it, but it's not thought of literally. You can memorize it as is for tell me about. A polite way of saying tell me about something. Literally, how is it formed? How is it organized is what it means. Like tell me the organization of something. In that sense. So like, tell me about your hobbies, tell me about your family, tell me about this, tell me about your age, tell me about your name. That's how it works. It's just a polite way of saying, tell me about something. I am waiting for Squid Game. Yeah, I don't have high hopes for the second season, but I'm also waiting for it as well. Okay, so let's talk about some common exceptions. Now, there are a bunch of little common exceptions, but there are only two that you really need to worry about. These two. If you see a descriptive verb that ends where the stem ends with this letter, which is called pia. Again, descriptive verb, most of them, not all. If it's a descriptive verb, I'm saying descriptive verb a bunch of times because there are also lots of action verbs that end with this that are less common where it'll do this. About half of them or a little bit less will also do this. But if it's a descriptive verb, most of them do this. You remove the letter and in its place, you add the syllable oo, the sound oo. And then you do this just like normal. So if you add oo, actually, let me write it up here. So let's do a really common example to be spicy, 맵다. So we get the stem, 맵. It ends in this letter. So what do? We remove it. We add the syllable oo. We don't add it down here because that doesn't make any sense. You can only have one consonant per set per vowel or diphthong. So me, and then u, and now we're done. Now we're done with this part. So now we look up here. Again, anytime you do this, it's always going to be this. It's always going to be adding a nian because it always, since it ends with u now, it has to be this because it ends in a vowel. So you're always going to get this. So if you want a shortcut for anytime you see this, just replace it with un. Remove it and replace it with un 100% of the time when you're doing this. Now, again, there are verbs, some verbs that don't, but for descriptive verbs, the majority of them do. Let me think of a descriptive verb that doesn't. You know what? I can't think of a single one. Action verbs, there's a lot. Action verbs, like I said, it's about half. Let me see. Did I put any on my... Oh, no. Okay, I found. There are some. Thanks. Thanks to myself for making this amazing cheat sheet, which you can get for free on my Patreon page. Check out my free cheat sheets on Patreon if you don't already have them. There are 6. There's verb conjugation, the Korean alphabet, postpositions, dates and seasons, markers and particles, and sound change rules. Yes, every single sound change rule in existence is on this one page. Yeah, so there are a few. I just couldn't think of any right there. Yeah, if you had 좁다, like to be like narrow, that's 좁은. So that doesn't apply to this rule. But pretty much all of them. So I'll just say, to keep it easy, I'll just keep what I wrote originally, most. If it's an action verb, though, you're going to have to just memorize the verb because those don't all follow it. But anyway, so that's all you have to do. 매운. So every single one works that way. You see 덥다, to be hot. Well, you could just skip just 더운, you're done. So now you can say 매운, which is, again, I said 맵다 is spicy. Now you can say 매운 음식, spicy food. You're not just saying 음식이 매워요. You're not saying the food is spicy. You're saying 매운 음식 좋아해요. I like spicy 매운 음식. 매운 김치를 먹어봤어요. 매운 김치도 좋아해요. I also like spicy kimchi. 매운 anything, spicy anything. 덥다. I wrote this really, really poorly because it's far away, but 덥다 is to be hot, like hot weather. So you can say 더운 날씨 좋아해요. I like hot weather. Anything like that. Yeah, 곱다 as well. 입다 is not a descriptive verb, so no. The one I thought of was 좁다, and then 곱다 is also actually on my cheat sheet. But I can think of a ton of them that are action verbs, but descriptive verbs, it's not so common. Sue Amazing asked, what if you say 좋은? Yeah, that's actually a common alternate spelling for 좋다, for 좋은, for something good, that you'll see in store names. Like a store name wants to be named like the good market or good fruit or something like that, then it's common that the store will actually name itself. Oh, sorry. Not 좋은, but 좋은. You'll see this. So it's the same as if it was like this, they just remove it. Sometimes you'll see stores do that. It's wrong though, but it's kind of like a cutesy way of spelling it. But no, if you spell it wrong, but the context makes sense, people will still understand you, but they'll think, oh, you spelled it wrong. So yeah, that's all you have to do for this letter. Let's do a couple examples then. 새롭다 is to be new. 새롭다, to be new. Like what if you want to say, I bought a new computer? You're not just saying 컴퓨터가 새로워요. You're not just saying 컴퓨터가 새로워요. The computer is new. No, you're saying I bought, 사다, to buy. I bought a new 컴퓨터. So try to make that sentence. 컴퓨터. I wrote all the words here. 컴퓨터. So to buy, new, and computer. Make the sentence, I bought a new computer. So you're going to do this exact same thing. Spicy mayo. Yes. Okay. 좁은 나무. Kind of like Easy Mart. Yeah, kind of like Easy Mart. That's a good comparison. Like, it's wrong, but sometimes stores will use. I've seen it enough that I can say it's being done intentionally. 새로운 컴퓨터를 샀어요. Perfect, Keith. I mean, perfect. 새로운 컴퓨터를 샀어요. 새로운 컴퓨터를 샀어요. Nice. Nice. If you're all getting it the same way, that is exactly what I want. Meanwhile, if you're still trying to write it, I'm going to have another bite of the cake. This almond German cake. This almond cake. That's good. That's good. Oh no. I dropped it on the floor. It's okay if I don't look and it's less than 3 seconds, it's okay. Is that Bienistick? Yes, it is. Yeah. Bee sting cake? Why is it called bee sting cake? Really? It is wonderful. It's my first time ever having that cake. I got it from Aldi. My wife said her friend recommended it. It's really good. For like a cake that you can buy and leave in the freezer, and then, yeah, like, if someone pulled that out at a party, I wouldn't know that they bought it. I'd be like, wow, how'd you make this? Oh, Merk. So if it's a descriptive verb, it's always the un or nian. The one you're thinking, the alternate one, nun, is if it's an action verb, which I said we're not going to be doing that for today. But since you already have seen that before, that's the action verb. Un and nian is always going to be a descriptive verb. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that because, again, there is an action verb form. The past tense action verb form will look the same. But if you're working with the descriptive verb is what I mean. If you're working with the descriptive verb, so you already know it's a descriptive verb, then if you see this, it's going to be past tense, 100%. Why don't you use 숟가락? Your German sounded so slang. I don't know a single word of German. I know, like, you know, the like strudel and like words that we use in English German, but I don't know actually German. You should start teaching German. All right, I'll do that. And the only German I know is from Team Fortress 2. Jawohl! Oktoberfest! Yeah, it's about the limit of my German. Okay, great job. So let's talk about this. So how do we get this to work? So it's very easy. 새롭다. Get the stem. This looks horrible. Well, I'm gonna remove it anyway. But you have this letter. Remove it because it looks horrible. Then you attach u. It ends in a vowel. It's always gonna be un. So you could go straight to that every single time for present tense. So 새롭다, you just do un. You're done. Every single time. 새로운 컴퓨터. Now you have new computer. Now you can 샀어요. I bought it. 갖고 싶어요. I want to have it. 봤어요. I saw one. 얻었어요. I received one. 팔았어요. I sold one. 있어요. Do you have a new computer? Like anything like that. Very easy. So it is an exception you have to remember, but there aren't very many. There's one more that you really need to keep in mind, and that's verb stems that end with, again, descriptive verb stems that end with this letter. There are a lot of them. For example, I should tell you what you do first. So, first of all, you're gonna need this note. You're gonna need a brand new piece of paper. So, turn the page, prepare it, put this at the top. You got to write a lot of notes. So make sure you have lots of space. So here's what you do. Step 1. Step one is when you have a verb stem that ends with this, first you have to remove it. I forgot the rest. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. That's pretty much, that's it. So since you removed the letter at the bottom, you're going to add this every single time. So if there's actually even faster way. Just replace this with this and you're done. That's the end letter. That's all you have to do. In every case, it's again, yeah, you got it. That's all you have to do. Okay, I'll give you an example in just a second. I'll leave this up because I know it's a lot. I'll give you a second to write it down before we go on to some examples. Don't worry, Billy. Not even Germans know German. That makes me feel better. Achtung! Yes, all my random German words that I don't even know when to use. I know what they mean, though. And then the English words that are, the German words that are already in English as well. I'll know those. Like, was ist das? Which I know means what is that, but that's an English word, believe it or not. I know a lot of people don't know that, but there's an English word, was ist das, I think is what we call it. It's like window, like small windows, I think. I don't know what kind, it's a type of window. Arbeit, yes, that's right. Kai said, Kai's not falling for it. 독일인 케이크가 맛있어요. So what you wrote, Keith, is the cake that is the country Germany. It's grammatically correct, but it doesn't make sense. But you did use it correctly. But yeah, you wrote that the cake that is Germany. What you meant to say is the German cake. So you're not. I'll give you a shortcut because this isn't a lesson about making those types of sentences. But if you're using in just for the verb in to help you when translating from English to Korean, is don't use it for in unless you mean to say something that is something. If you just want to say something like German cake, word, all you do is you stick the words together. If they're two nouns, just stick them together. You can add it if you want to have the meaning of something that is something. But if you don't need that meaning, if you're just trying to say noun, again, you're not doing adjective, but you're just noun, just say noun in Korean as well. So Germany, cake, boom, you're done. 미국, America, 음식, American food, done. You could do 미국에서 온 음식, like food that came from America, but you have to be careful with in because the reason is it can easily sound like in for person. So if you say 독일인 케이크, it doesn't sound like you're saying cake that is Germany. It sounds more like you're saying German person cake. So keep that in mind. Don't use in unless you have to, but I'm not focusing on translating. I'm just English. I'm just focusing on the rules here. So that's a specific example to the country name that you're using. Yeah, just noun, and you're done. It's French for a transom window. Oh, okay. Go Billy learns German. Yeah. My Grammy said that in the 60s, a lot of Korean nurses came to Germany, but their education was different. So in their mind, it was unqualified work. It's funny because in Korean, alba is still considered to be the same. It's a part-time job, but it's considered to be like you're not doing it seriously. It's not your real job. Oh, Sue Amazing said, can you use 가지다 to say like, please hold. 이거 좀 갖고 있어. 갖고 있어봐. Here, hold on to this. Yeah. 이거 가져. Take this. Hold this. If the cake was in the shape of a person, it would be 사람 모양. It would be a shape of a person. You'd use the word 모양 for a shape of something. 모양 cake? I guess so. Yeah, you could. 케이크가 사람 모양으로 되어 있어요. It's in the shape of a person. So let's do some examples. Again, just replace it with the nian and you're done. But there are a lot of verbs for this, and there are so many verbs that even though this seems like an annoying thing to keep track of, you're going to see it so much that you're not going to worry about it. So a really quick example: 멀다, to be far. 길다, to be long. Why can't I think of any others? Oh yeah. Well, I can think of some others, but they're action verbs. I know there are more descriptive verbs with this. Nothing's coming to mind. But these are the most common ones. I'm thinking of a bunch and they're like, oh no, that's an action verb. That's an action verb. That's an action verb. You'll see it. I swear. I promise you. You're going to see it. Okay, really simple. So you get the stem. It ends with this letter. You get rid of it. Again, morda is far, kirda is long. You're done. Mon. Now you can have mon, nara, a distant country. Kin, mori, long hair. That's all you got to do. Can anyone think of any others? Can anyone think of any other descriptive verbs that end in that? I know there are more. I just can't think of any. I can think of tons of action verbs that end with it. Golden Buffy says, so would you say Duolingo would or could hinder someone learning Korean? If they are only using one resource, and this isn't exclusive to Duolingo, but if you're using only one resource, and that resource does not include any sort of practice where you're actually working with verbs yourself or working with sentences yourself, you're just rearranging stuff, it's not going to do it. By itself, it doesn't do anything negative for your Korean. It's not going to hurt your Korean. But if that's all you're using and you're considering that you're studying Korean by solely doing one sort of activity, any sort of activity, not exclusive to that, then yeah. If you are the same reason, for the same way that if you were sitting down watching K-pop all day and thinking, I'm going to learn Korean from this, it's not. But this isn't a jab against K-pop. It's just that if that's the only way you're trying to learn Korean by one sort of method, only listening practice, it's not going to work. Same with Duolingo, which is for like vocabulary retention and kind of organizing sentences. One thing, it's not going to work. If you add it into your repertoire, if you add it into your other things you're doing, you know, you have lessons here, you have practice here, you have listening practice here, all that, and you add in one more tool, it's not going to hurt you. Neither will K-pop or watching Korean shows. So yeah. Bareda does not. Bareda ends with the. So you don't need anything. The ends in a vowel. You attach this. You're done. Baden. So that's not an exception. Okay. And there are a few other exceptions. Oh yeah. The most common exception besides those is these verbs. Now, there are actually multiple ways to conjugate these that you'll see in the future, but for right now, the simplest way to learn it is that ita and opta have their own conjugations and they go like this. Again, this is present tense. 있는 and 없는. So if you wanted to say, for example, like the verb, say the descriptive verb you want to use is, actually, let's do a simpler one. Delicious, 맛이 있다, 맛있다, right? 맛있다. What if you wanted to say, you're not saying 음식이 맛있어요. You're not saying the food is good, but you wanted to say, I ate delicious food. Or, yesterday I ate delicious food. 어제 맛있는 음식을 먹었어요. So yesterday I ate delicious food. Or I made delicious cheesecake. Or anything like that. So 있다 becomes 있는, 없다 becomes 없는. And the really quick reason is because these actually conjugate as action verbs. And this is actually the action verb ending for present tense. But the simpler reason is just do it this way. It's only two verbs. Don't worry about it. If anytime you see 있는 or 있다 or 없다 for the adjective form in the present tense. So again, 맛있는 음식 is food that is, right now, present tense, food that is good. You're not saying food that was good, but it is good food, food that is good. 맛있는 something. Or 맛 없는, something that is not. 맛없는 피자를 먹었어요. I ate pizza that was, I ate, so we would say I ate that was, but in Korean they say I ate that is. No, pay attention to that as well. 맛없는 피자를 먹었어요. I ate pizza that is not delicious. We don't say that was not delicious in Korean. This is a separate lesson, but I'll briefly remind you for tense in Korean. You only need the tense at the end of the sentence, at the end of the piece of the sentence. That's the only place you need tense. You don't need to have, I ate pizza that was not delicious in Korean. You would just say, and same thing for thinking. I thought something is. You don't need to say, I thought that it had been, unless you need to do that for some sort of contextual reason. And it's the same thing for here. You don't need to have tense at the sentence until the very end. So you'd say, 먹었어요. I ate 맛 없는 피자 or 맛있는 피자, like that. You will use different tenses for other reasons, which would be, we could talk about later. But for right now, that's all you need to know. 있는, 없는. And then there are some other exceptions. Again, you don't really need to worry about this so much, but verbs that end with this, not all verbs, but most verbs that end with this that are descriptive verbs, there's also something else that you can do to them. You remove it and you're done. But it's not all descriptive verbs. We already saw one that doesn't follow this, 좋다. It's just 좋은. You don't remove this. But there are a lot of verbs. There are at least like 10 that I can think of right now, or maybe 8 that are really common that do use this. I'll show you. There's a reason for that. Let's just do a really common one. 그렇다. This is the verb that you get like 그래요. When you're conjugating this one, it means to be so. You remove it. So you get 그런, that kind of. You can also have like 이런, this kind of, or 저런, that kind of. Like that kind of, or this kind of. 저 이런 날씨가 최고예요. This kind of weather is the best. 저 이런 날씨 정말 좋아해요. I really like this kind of. So this kind of or that kind of. That is from this verb. 그런처럼. Or 어떻다. You might think that sounds weird if you've never seen this. Sorry, this is kind of, I wrote that weird. 어떻다 is really common. It's where you get 어때요. Like, how is it? 어때? 어때요? 어땠어요? How was it? Well, if you want to make it into an adjective, 어떻다 means to be how. So you could have how, but this is how you say what kind of. As in like what variety of, what type of, what kind of. So 어떤 음악을 좋아하세요? What kind of music do you like? 어떤 음식 좋아해요? What kind of food do you like? 어떤 사람이에요? What kind of person is he or she? 어떤 거예요? What kind of thing is it? 어떤 앨범이에요? What kind of album is it? It'll be used in questions. 어떤. So you don't really need to worry about this so much in those cases because like 이런, my voice is like cracking. 이런, 그런, 저런, 어떤, all of these, they're used so commonly, you can just kind of learn them as their own word. You don't really need to think about that they conjugated as adjectives. But there are some cases where you do need to worry about them. And it's really simple to tell you what those are. The colors. There are several Korean colors. I can think of 4 really common ones right now that have this and you have to remove it. So, these are the pure Korean colors. Like red, blue or green, white, black. Those are the ones that I come. Oh yeah, and yellow. Those colors in Korean, so 5 really common ones, end with this. So after you remove this, 빨갛다 is to be red. So if you say, oh, 빨개요, it's red. But what if you want to say something that's red, like a red car? Well, you would get 빨갛다 as the verb, so you'd remove it. And 빨간, now you have 빨간 차, red car. 빨간 머리, red hair. 빨간 피자, red pizza. I mean, I don't know, whatever you want to say that's red. Red something. 빨갛다 is really common. Also, 파랗다, which is kind of like bluish, but it could also be green in some situations. 파랗다 for blue, 노랗다 for yellow. I'm just going to write them down so you can kind of have a reference. 하얗다 for white. Sorry, if I wrote this messy, I'll... 하얗다 for white and 까맣다 for blau. For it's blowed. I was thinking black and brown at the same time. Okay, 까맣다 for black, and there are other colors also. There are other words for similar colors as well. But this one and then the other one I just gave, 빨갛다, are the 5 main colors in Korean that have this and that you have to do it. There's a reason why this rule exists where you remove it. It's not because this letter gets removed when you have a regular verb. It's because this letter in these cases and the other cases I gave you with like 그런 이런처럼, this is an advanced note, so you don't need to write this down if you're a beginner. The reason is because this little h is actually, the original word was shortened, and originally the word was 하다. This h, da, means the word originally was 하다. So it was 하야하다, 파라하다, 노라하다, 까마하다, but that's shortened to here. So when you conjugate it, it actually, the 하다 gets shrunk. Because it was shrunk, you have to consider it like that, and that's why it gets removed when you conjugate it. But don't worry about that. That's just a little fact. If you're wondering why do these ones you remove it, but like words like 좋다 don't. That's because 좋다 wasn't shortened from 하다. Okay. Besides that, though, there's another one. Now, there aren't too many verbs that end with this stem. But I'll give you a couple. Really common you're going to see. 나다. I'm just going to write a little bit nicer. 나다 and 짓다 are going to be the most common ones you're going to see. There are a few others, but these are maybe the most common ones. 나다 is like, there are a couple meanings to this. One of the meanings is to be preferable, like that's a better choice. That's a more preferable option. Or it also can mean to get better. Like if you tell someone, oh, I hope you get better. But it's often, but that's used as an action verb. So the one you need to worry about is 나다, to be preferable. If you ask someone, which do you think is better? Which do you prefer? Then you're going to use this verb, 나다. And 짓다 is like to build or construct something. So if you're like building a house, you might see this one used. It's pretty common. Now, this one, if the hiet rule had a lot of exceptions, this one has even more. So again, get a fresh piece of paper, write this at the top of your notebook. I'm going to tell you what you have to do if we have a verb like this. So, okay, first of all, we got to get the stem. That's step number 1. Okay, step number 2 is we're going to be removing it. Actually, step number 2. Sorry, not step number 1. Step number 2, you remove it. But step number 3 is there actually is a step number 3, believe it or not. So we get the stem, we remove the 시옷, the letter, and then step number 3 is pretend you didn't remove the 시옷. So what does that mean? Now, you know what? I actually just realized something right now. This is an action verb. We don't even need to worry about this. So take it off. Because that would be 짓는 if you're talking about present tense, and that for past tense. So we really only need to worry about this one. It's not common. I mean, sorry, this rule is not common. This descriptive verb is very common, but this rule is not that commonly used. But if you see a descriptive verb, again, descriptive verb that ends with this letter, that's all you have to do. So it's not, you don't make it into non like that. You pretend you didn't remove it. So you still have to add un. That's pretty much it. And this rule, pretend you didn't do step number 2, also applies when you're conjugating the regular 요 form for this verb. Because normally this verb, when you get the 요 form, you might think it's like 나사요 or something like that. But no, you actually have to remove it. But then you pretend you didn't remove it. So you don't combine na together like you normally would for like the verb 가다, right? For 가다, you get Kada, you remove it, you do ayo, but it combines, so you only get kayo. But this one, it doesn't. You pretend you didn't do that rule, so it's na ayo, even though it's an after. This one as well, naen. That's pretty much it. And I can think of a bunch of verbs that use this, but they're action verbs. I can't think of any others that are descriptive verbs right now. Because another really common one is ita, to connect, but that's also an action verb. Yeah, those are action verbs. I don't know, but that's all that comes to mind right now. So yeah, you don't have to worry about this either. Really, the ones you only have to worry about on a regular basis are these two. And while there are some other exceptions, I said like this one or this one, and you might see a couple other random words we're not going to talk about, but that's it. If you know how to do this, remove it and add oo. This is the hardest one because you have to do 2 steps, right? This one, all you do is remove it. That's it. And then if you're working with colors a lot and you haven't learned colors, but you want to work with the descriptive verbs, then you just remove this one too. That's it. It's really just memorize this and then keep in mind that this one also removes. And then also the other ones we had, ita and opta. Those are also super common. But everything else is always this. Again, even these ones, they all do this. Except this. They all do this. I'm like, they all do this without fail, 100%, except this one. But they all do this. Okay, I'll take a quick break for a minute. Yeah, Kai, as soon as I wrote it, I was like, oh, that's a really common one, is what I was thinking. And then as soon as I started writing it, I'm like, wait, that's an action verb. Why did I even think to build was a descriptive verb? Because I was only thinking about verbs that end with that. And I suddenly was like, oh yeah, I can think of this. Let's give them 2 most common. See, it's really not common. Keith says, green was a shade of blue in Korea, Japan, and some other countries. Yeah, and certain colors also didn't exist prior to certain countries coming in and bringing items that had that color. So you'll see things that are using different colors, like different words for certain colors. Like even the word like pora that you know as purple isn't Korean originally. It's from Mongolian. Like there are a bunch of other origins and stuff like that because Korean, there wouldn't be like green and blue separate colors that you would really need to describe things with. It's just bluish greenish sort of color, and that would describe like oceans, that would describe like mountains, like lush forests, kind of like that. So it ended up being used more often for one color, but it can still be used for its more traditional usage of both. That's why like parata is used to be blue, but it could technically be green as well, depending on how it's being used. Hyunju says, Putta is an action verb. To swell. That's why I can think of a lot of them with action verbs. Hold on. Tota, ita, putta, utta, nata, chitta. I even have some on my conjugation cheat sheet, but these are just for the yule form. For the yule form, it doesn't matter if it's descriptive verb or action verb for here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There aren't too many. Yeah, Violetta, take care. Lori says, so 달다 would be tan. Yes, exactly. Tan cake, sweet cake. Note, however, this isn't related to the lesson, but if you're saying something is sweet in Korean or spicy in Korean or sour or bitter, and you're using the words 달다 for sweet, 시다 for sour, 맵다 for spicy, 짜다 for salty, it actually doesn't mean what you think it means. Funnily enough, if you say, oh, 김치가 달아, oh, not 김치 is sweet. I hope not. 케이크가 달아요. The cake is sweet, right? You think it means that, but it doesn't mean that. What you're actually saying when you give a description of a taste and you use those basic descriptions like sweet, salty, whatever, you're actually meaning that it's a bit too. So if you say 케이크가 달아요, you're actually saying, oh man, it's sweet. It doesn't mean like, it is nice and sweet. I like it. You're saying, oh, it's sweet. So it actually means that in English, we would interpret this as too sweet, even though it doesn't necessarily mean too sweet. You can convey it in a way that sounds like it's, 달고 맛있어요. Oh, it's sweet and good. But if you just say, 좀 달아요, if you just express it directly without making it clear that you don't mean that way, like if you don't add any sort of modifiers to it to make it clear that you don't mean it's a bad thing, by default, it means too much. If you say it's salty, it actually means, oh, it's too salty. So in order to not convey that, there are different verbs to say that something is nice and sweet, nice and salty, nice and, all of these different words, nice and spicy. There are different verbs, different adjectives, different descriptive verbs technically that they use for that. And I actually did make a video about that in my Korean FAQ series. If you search like flavors in Korean, I think I made a Korean FAQ about that, how to use it. And there are different words that you'd want to use, like 매콤하다 or 달콤하다. Different descriptive verbs that mean nice and, like just a little bit. It doesn't mean that it's overly. Yeah, 달콤한. Sue Amazing said the purple color didn't have a name in Korean. That, I don't know if it didn't have a name. I just know that nowadays that's the only word you use for purple. There probably is, there's a hancha one I can't think of right now for purple. I guess you can say like a reddish, like a dark reddish. But anyway, yeah, the purple that we know today, 보라색, is actually Mongolian word. Came from a bird in Mongolian that had like a purple chest, and they called it, that was the name of the bird, sounded kind of like the word 보라, and that's what they interpreted as the color and added that to Korean. Let's see. Do you mean 좋다 or 좋아하다? 좋아하다 is an action verb. Yes. Oh, I see you're answering someone else was asking about that. Yeah. 파랗다 can be green. Yeah, if you're talking about... Okay, so this isn't a colors lesson. I have a separate live stream about colors. In fact, I'm also thinking about doing a cheat sheet for colors. I already made a cheat sheet for colors. It would have been the 7th cheat sheet. I just decided not to release it this time because I didn't have time to organize it pretty. But I made it. I put all the colors in it. They're just not organized. And I realized it would take me an extra day to organize them all. So I decided, let's not do this. Let's maybe do this next time. Because colors is a huge topic. If you buy a Crayola box of crayons, you're going to see there's like 30 words for colors that you've never heard in your life. It'll be like forest green, deep lake orange. Like, what the heck? What does that mean? Like, you'll see like eggshell white. How is eggshell white? Is that different than ceramic white? Is that different than porcelain white? Is that different than ash gray? Like, there are all these colors in English, right? And Korean has the exact same problem. So I picked out the most common ones for that, but I don't want to spoil it too much. I'll just say that might be coming next if I do more cheat sheets. But yeah, 파랗다, the most common way that you're gonna, although it can mean green for like sort of natural like forest words, it's not so commonly used for that. But commonly you'll see it used for the blue light. I mean, sorry, a green light on a traffic light is a 파란불. But people still sometimes call it 초록불, green light. But more naturally, if you say 초록불, it sounds okay because it's green light. But more commonly, people still call it a 파란불, so literally blue light. Are all words taken from other languages? I mean, if you want to think of it like that, I guess. But no, Korean would have developed its own words as well. But a lot of words that we know came from other languages. Or were inspired. There isn't really a case of like this language developed completely isolated from everything around it forever. Like eventually, like someone, if you go back a few hundred years, someone from someone else with a related language would have lived and moved to that area and spoken a similar kind of language. With Korean though, there's nothing that we know of that has any relationship with Korean. So if there was a related language, there probably was, it doesn't exist anymore. It's nothing that we have modern to compare it to. Hey, Kai. Thank you, Kai. Let's see what Kai wrote in a second. I also want to go into past tense too, because we're not done with this lesson. Kai says, top of the hour, delayed because of catching up on notes. Oh, I'm sure it was writing down the shiot exception or the hiat exception. That was probably the one. Can you quickly review the difference between the action verb and descriptive verb of good to like? We're done with this anyway, so I'm going to erase it. I'm going to go on to past tense in a second. So again, that's only present tense. So 좋다, 좋아하다. There is a relationship between these two. There's a grammar form that causes 좋다 to become 좋아하다, but we're not going to talk about that. You don't really need to know that. All you need to know is 좋다 is to be good, and it's a descriptive verb. And 좋아하다 is an action verb and means to like something. So that means the usage is different. You would say, I like that, 좋아해요. Because it's an action verb, you can use it with the object marker. So you can say, 저는 피자를 좋아해요. I like object pizza. You wouldn't say 피자를 좋아요 because descriptive verbs can never take an object marker. Never. You can never use a descriptive verb with an object marker. It makes zero sense. Any descriptive verb, ever. That's a pro tip. If you ever see a descriptive verb, ever, and there's an object marker before it, there's a noun and an object marker, it's never talking about that verb. It could be an object marker for talking about something else that comes after that you just didn't know, but it's never used for the descriptive verb. It doesn't make any sense because it's not doing anything there's no object. Instead, you're going to see different markers like the subject marker, I or ga. You could see the topic marker, un or nun for emphasis. You could see like to, like also, or man, only, like that. But you can never see the object marker. So if you can make these two sentences. You can say 피자가 좋아요. Literally, pizza is good. 피자가 좋아요. Or 피자를 좋아해요. I like pizza. Now that's level 1 of the lesson. But if we go down underneath the iceberg a little bit, there's another level to this question. And that is, but Billy, people say, 전 피자가 좋아요. And the translation says, I like pizza. What's up with that? Well, yeah, because if you're talking about only in the first person or the second person, so I like something or you like something, not he or she or they, not third person, then you can use 좋다 also to mean that you like something. But literally, it doesn't mean you like it. Literally, it means, as for me, that's good. By that, it's saying I have a preference. For me, that's good. That's good for me. 전 피자가 좋아요. For me, pizza's good, is what you're literally saying. But you can translate that as I like pizza. And in fact, when you're talking about first and second person, and you want to say that you like something, it's actually more common to use 좋다 than 좋아하다 to say that you like something. However, if you are talking about third person, he or she or they, someone else, someone not in the conversation with you, you cannot use 좋아요. You can't say 철수도, like 철수 is standing over there. 철수는 피자 좋아요. It sounds weird. They'll understand what you're trying to say, but it has to be first or second person. So like, I like it, you like it, do you like it? But not they or he or she or whatever. You have to say 철수는 피자를 좋아해요. 좋아해요, likes it. Again, there is a grammar reason why that it only works like that, but you only need to memorize it like this. To like. But you could also say, I like pizza, 전 피자 좋아해요. I like pizza. And that sounds perfectly fine. It's not like awkward, natural, or anything like that. But this one tends to get used more commonly, 좋다, to say that you like something. So if you're saying I like something, feel free to use 좋다. 그게 좋아요. I like that. 저도 좋아요. I like it too. But literally you're saying, that's good. I think. Like, my preference is I think that. And this is actually something that all descriptive verbs do. That's when you use a descriptive verb about anything, it's actually expressing your opinion about it. When you say 맛있어요, it's not really just saying it is delicious, but it's like, I think my opinion is, for me, it's delicious, is what you're really saying. 추워요. You're not just saying the weather is cold. You're saying, I feel cold. So that's why when you walk outside and people, oh, 추워, 추워. Even though the weather's not cold, they can say, oh, 추워, because what they mean is, I feel cold. Oh man, I'm freezing. Oh, 너무 추워. They don't mean, oh, it is so cold. They mean, I think it's cold. So any of these descriptive verbs, when you're using them, are expressing your own opinions. This verb here is just expressing an action. Someone likes something. Literally, someone likes something. So yeah, just know you can use either one. But if you don't know, just use this. If you do know, try to use this. Hopefully that helps. But there is no like unnatural way. If you use like, oh, I used 좋아하다 instead and it was unnatural, it's never going to happen. It's always natural. It's just more common that they use 좋다 for that. Talk is like the English I see, scientific, historic. Yeah, I have a lesson about talk actually in my Korean FAQ series, so check that out. Search for talk on my channel and you'll find it. Okay, so let's talk about past tense. Past tense. I don't know what I'm writing. Past tense adjectives. So again, we're going to say something that was something. Let's say a 고양이, a cat. So we're not going to say like, so let's say, okay, let's do 작다, to be small. 작다, to be small, we get the verb stem. It ends in a consonant. We attach 은. 작은 고양이, a small cat. Present tense, small cat. What if we want to say a cat that was small? Don't ask why we would say that. Let's worry about that later. For right now, let's just think about how we would make it. A cat that was small. It's actually pretty easy, but you have to already know how to conjugate verbs. So, how do you conjugate a verb? Because you have to first conjugate a verb. So conjugate a verb. So 작다. How do you conjugate it? 작다. Follow along at home. 작다 ends in that. So 요, right? 작아요. Okay. What we actually need though is not the present tense conjugation. We actually need the past tense conjugation. So I'll just write PT. So we need to conjugate the past tense. But if you conjugate the present tense, the past tense is a piece of German almond cake. That's good. Because you don't need to learn any exceptions for past tense. You just conjugate it regularly, remove the 요, attach these, right? And then you do the other thing you normally do. 작았어요, always this. So you just get the regular conjugation, you attach this, right? That's how you get the past tense 요 form normally. So what you need to do is first you get to here. So you conjugate a verb normally. Again, the 요 form conjugation, present tense, is the only tricky part. Because once you get that, you chop off the 요, you attach these two letters, and then you attach 어요. But we actually don't even want this. What we need is that stem. After we've conjugated the verb normally to the past tense, you get its stem, again, which just adds like that, which just ends like that. And we're done. We just attach one thing. And we're done. You get it? I'm sorry. 다 갔던. And we're done. I'm happy to report there are a total of 0 exceptions to this. Yeah. Sue Amazing. No, that is you're talking about a different form. 작던. That's a different form. That's not what you're doing. That's for action verbs. Again, we're doing descriptive verbs. Yeah, I did make the same joke, and I'm glad you caught it. Because it's funnier the second time, you know? I wasn't feeling it the first time, but I felt it this time. It's like, yeah. There were, how many people laughed? I'm checking to see how many people just left. I think like 5 people laughed, so They're laughing so hard, they just close the stream. All right. So let's do a couple examples. And again, there are no exceptions to this because we already did all the exceptions just conjugating the Yule form in the first place. Like, I'll show you. Really common, hada. How do you get the Yule form of hada? Well, you know what to do. Actually, you just memorize this one as hey. So heyo, right? Heyo. Past tense, you remove the Yule, you attach these. Hesoyo, right? Done. But the only hard part was getting hada to heyo. That was it. The rest of it is just the same thing every time. We get the stem. We attach ton. We're done. Het-done. Again, we're not using the action verb hada, we're using the descriptive verb hada, but still, you get the idea. Even like verbs that you think would have exceptions, like ida would normally become iyosoyo in the past tense or yosoyo, right? Done. 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 That's it. There are no exceptions. What about ida? We did ita, ita, right? We had an exception with that present tense. So let's get, normally it's isoyo, right? But to make it past, you remove the yul, you attach the double letters. Isosoyo, right? We get the stem and we're done. That's it. No exceptions. Finally, a rule with no exceptions. Although, again, you already did the exceptions to get here, but still. Let's do topda, to be hot, right? It ends in this letter's really tricky. Remember, you got to do to'uoyo, right? You got to go to'yo. I don't know what my intonation was. To'yo. Remove the yo to make the past tense. To'osoyo, right? Now we got the stem. To'otan, we're done. So if you get the past tense, if you get the present tense, you've already done 99% of the hard work. Now the rest of it is just copy paste. Everything, every time. To'otan. So now you can say, not to'un narshi, whether that is hot, but now it's past tense, whether that was hot. Now, you might be thinking, and you're correct, what the heck is this, Millie? Why would I ever say whether that was hot? I mean, maybe I can make a sentence. That just sounds really awkward. You are 100% correct. You will never use it like this. Ever. But you will use it. I'll tell you in a second. But first, just trust me when I say you're going to use this every single day, hundreds of times a day if you're in Korea. But not like this. But it is. That's what it is. It is the past tense adjective. Okay, now that's it. Let's talk about future tense. I'll talk about how we use it in a second. Kai, Kai, thank you. Thank you for appreciating my done joke. Did you get it? Did you get it? Okay. Future tense is not as simple as past tense, but it is just as simple as present tense. So remember before we had the verb stem, and then you attach either un or a nian, un if it ends in a consonant or a nian if it ends in a vowel. You remember all that, right? For present tense. Well, future tense is this. And all the rules are the exact same that you wrote down just now with this letter. Ain't that easy? Ain't that something? So, remember I told you exceptions. If it ends in this, you remove it, you attach u. So if you have the verb topda, you get top, top is the stem, you remove it, to'u. In present tense, you would have to'un. Future tense, you have to'ur. That's it. There are no exceptions. If you have this letter, exceptions on top of the exceptions is what I mean. Korean will give you exceptions, but it's not going to double the exceptions. They're not that mean. The people who made Korean were pretty friendly. What about if the word ends in this? Well, we remove it, right? So you have morda, to be far. That looks ugly. Or we have kirda, to be long. Well, how do we get these ones? Remember, you remove the ta first to get the stem, and then you remove this, And then you add, oh, wait, what do we add? It ends in a vowel. So that, there you go. I mean, if you see a verb stem that ends with this, all you do is you leave it alone because it's the same thing. But really what you're doing is you're doing the same thing from before. You're removing it and then you add it back on because this just so happens to end in that same letter. That's it. The same thing for this letter. You remove it. So instead of like kuron we had before, you get kuror. That's it. Instead of, remember the color we had like parata. Before we would have remove the ta, remove this, you get paran. Well, now you have parar. I mean, you're not going to use this, but it's the same thing. So all the exceptions you learn for present tense apply here. Except. The reason these have exceptions is because they work as action verbs. It's not like these are weird in that their own way. It's just because they actually work as action verbs. This one actually does the same thing. So instead of 있는 and 없는, it's actually 있을 and 없을, but that's because it's an action verb, and that's what action verbs also do. This rule doesn't matter if it's a descriptive verb or an action verb. They both do the same things for this. But yeah, so that's it. 있을 and 없을. So that these don't even have exceptions at all. So in that way, it's even easier than present tense. That's it. Now you can do present tense, past tense, and future tense. And in a second, I'm going to tell you why you're going to use past tense and future tense, because you probably still don't know why, even if you understand how it works. Diego asks, it's not necessary to conjugate if I conjugate the final verb. For example, if I want to use 같았어요. Correct. If you want to say I thought something is, you wouldn't conjugate I thought that it had been. Unless it's like from that, in that situation, I thought that this at that time was something, then you could use it. Otherwise, I thought something is what you say. So yeah, you're correct, Diego. Diego. That's like the number one, like the most Spanish sounding Spanish name I can think of is probably Diego, in my opinion. I don't know if there's another one. Is there? Can anyone think of like a more Spanish sounding Spanish name? Señor Diego. It just sounds so like, it's like Pierre for French, right? The Spanish is Diego. I know it's not the same name. I just mean, like, to me, it kind of seems like that. Okay. So when do you use these? Diego has the right idea. 것 같다, or more commonly, you'll just see it written as 거. It's the same thing. 것 같다. What is 것 같다? Well, literally, 같다 means to be similar to or to be like. So if you say something is like a thing that's something, you're saying it's like that. But this is the most common way to say that you think, is by using this form, 것 같다. Or again, 거 같다. It's the same thing. The way 것 같다 works to say you think something is you conjugate 같다, so you'll get like 같아요. In present tense, you could do 같았어요 past tense, but usually you don't need to say, yeah, I mean, you could, it's less common. Typically though, what Koreans say is they say, I think something was, I think something is, I think something will be. You don't need to say, I thought something is, I thought something will be. You can say, I think. So it's mostly just left in the 같아요 form, just so you know. In English, we commonly change the verb tense of think into the different tenses that we want. Oh, like I had thought, or I did think, or, I thought that, or I think that right now. But in Korean, it's just, I think something was, something is, something will be, is like how it works most of the time. But you can also, I have seen 같았어요, but you will not see future tense. 같을 거야. I will think that. Doesn't make any sense. 같았어요, though, sometimes is used. But anyway, you just conjugate it. 같아요, 같아. What comes before here? This is why you need to learn present tense, past tense, and future tense, because this is the adjective. That's it. This is how you say I think. In the most common way to say I think in Korean is with an adjective in any tense you want. And then you attach ko or kot, either one, same thing. And then 갔다, and then conjugate it. So this is extremely common. So before, you might have thought, why would I ever say something like an adjective will be long, like 길다 to 길 or 멀다 to 멀 for far. Something that will be far. 멀 집, a house that will be far. 맛있을 pizza, a pizza that will be delicious. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, and you're right. 맛있을 것 같아요. I think it will be delicious. The way it works is like this. Let's take the example with 춥다. So cold. So we had the example. So let's just conjugate it normally. So 춥다, we get 추운 날씨, right? Cold weather. 추운 날씨. Or past tense. 추웠던 날씨, right? 추웠던 날씨. So whether that was cool. We don't really need to say that though normally, right? Or future tense. 추울 날씨. Whether that will be cool. Of those three examples, only one of them sounds natural, right? 추운 날씨, whether that's cold weather. But when you're saying I think, what you're actually saying is something, 것. Remember, 것 means a thing. So a thing, something that will be cold, is what it's like. Is literally what you're saying, if you want to know the literal meaning. I think something, I think it, whatever, will be cold. So if you want to say, 내일 날씨가 추울 것 같아요. I think the weather will be cold tomorrow. 어제 날씨가 추웠던 것 같아요. I think the weather was cold yesterday. 오늘 날씨가 추운 것 같아요. I think today's weather is cold. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Please tell me it makes sense. Let's see. Juan. Pablo. Maybe. Oh, Pablo is a good name. Yeah, that's true. Alejandro. Jose. Pablo. I don't know. I think Diego is still a winner. Like, yeah, maybe you're right that like Pablo or Juan or Jose are like, you know, really common stereotypical names. I just think Diego sounds cooler, personally. It sounds like you're like an adventurer. And I'm not saying that because there's the character Diego in Dora the Explorer. I'm just saying the name Diego itself sounds like an adventurer name, I guess. I smell what you're stepping in. I might have missed something while writing. Not Mexico, Spain. Zorro? Zorro's not a real name though, is it? Is it? I mean, of course I know Zorro. I also know Zorro, the character from, I think, One Piece or whatever. But yeah, Zorro is not a real name though, right? It's just his name. Zorro. Thank you. Yeah, no, I think Diego sounds really cool. Like if someone introduced myself as Diego, I'd be like, okay, lead the way. Like we're going into some like deadly forest, the Amazon rainforest or something. He's like, come with me. I will lead. Hello, my name is Diego. I know it's not, it kind of sounds like, reminds me of like Inigo Montoya, but like Diego kind of has that same sort of image. I'd be like, all right, Diego, lead the way. And then I promptly like die because I wasn't following him. Are they always together or are they two different verbs? Which verbs do you mean? Diego is Zorro. Is that his name? I didn't know that. Maybe that's why I had the association, but I didn't know that his name was Diego, actually. My name is Diego, and if you trusted your life on me, well, we are both dead. But it'd be like so cool when he says, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that, Diego. Well, then let's go. Shake hands. This way, amigo. Or is it this way? And then I don't know. Yeah, something else happens. The adventures to be continued later. Kai, if you clarify your question, I'll try to answer it. Okay, so that adjective in the tense that you gave it, 것 같아요, is how you say I think something. So you can see that we had to learn a lot of stuff in order to just say I think something. But that's what you have to do every time you say I think, is you change the verb into an adjective based on the tense that you want to convey. So let me give you an example. If you see a piece of pizza and you say, actually, let's not do that. This could be a little bit vague if we do it in other tenses. Let's do you see Korean food. 맵다, to be spicy. How would you make the sentence? Actually, let's make it even simpler, because I don't want you to have to worry about the rules right now. Let's do it simpler. 좋다. 좋다, to be good, right? This is very simple. There are no exceptions for this, for any of the tenses. I think it's good. Make that sentence. I think it is, again, this is present. I think it's good. Don Diego. I totally forgot the rest. Is that Zorro's name? I got to find it out now. Zorro's name. Don Diego de la Vega. Or is it yeah, it's Vega? Vega? I don't know. That Zorro movie they made in the 90s, I think it was late 90s, was so cool. They've never even tried to make a new one. It's like, it's done. That's it. That first one. I think they made a second one. I don't think I even saw it. Yes, Keith. Perfect. Ryan as well. Taemin as well. Toyun, you don't have the conjugation correctly. Remember, it has to be the adjective. You might have missed the lesson though, so. Yes, Ayani. Yes, Kai. Oh, maybe you're asking if they need to be together. Like you're spaced. Yeah, it is spaced because it's actually an adjective. When you say, yeah, Antonio Banderas, yeah, it's perfect. Literally. I think they made a second one, but I don't believe I even saw it, or I never heard it was good. But the first one is just such a well-made movie. It's just so simple, so good. They can't top it. They've never even tried because they know it's going to be compared to that. And they know it's not going to be as good. It's the same reason they haven't remade the Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser, for the exact same reason. It's just perfect. Like, you can't. I know they tried to do that Mummy with Tom Cruise, but it wasn't supposed to be a reboot of the Mummy. It was just supposed to be the character, the Mummy, in a different story. So that's okay. But it also didn't turn out good, I heard. Yeah, there's just some movies that are they're just perfect. They're not old enough to bother remaking yet. Prime Series has a new Zorro series. What? Yes, 좋은 것 같아요. Yes. 저는 좋은 것 같아요. EVP, perfect. Okay. So yeah, I think it is, again, remember, it's going to be adding this or this for present tense. So it ends in a consonant, so we add this. 좋은 것 같아요. I think it is good. And all of the I think is going to end with 것 같아요 or 것 같아요. What about instead of I think it is good, what if we wanted to say I think it was good? How was that movie? Actually, I can't say it without giving away the answer. I think it was good. I think it was okay. I think it was good. How would you say that? I think it was good. Again, the tense, I think, is present tense. 같아요. I think it was good. You don't need to say, I thought it was good. Like in English, we do this. We'll make the tense of everything in the sentence match. So that's why we end up in English with really weird things like, I had thought, like, if I hadn't thought at that time that it had been the worst outcome, then I wouldn't have not done that, hadn't I done, like we do all this type of stuff in English. I can't even do it. Korean, you don't do that. unless you need to for a specific reason, you don't do like had in Korean, because you can convey the same thing with I think it was, I think it is, I think it will be. So how do you say I think it was good? Remember, you conjugate it to the past tense like normal, like the yo form in the past tense. You chop up everything once you get the stem, once you get to those two S letters, and then you attach ton, and you're done. It's funnier the third time, isn't it? 좋았던 것 같아요. Nice. Keith, perfect. Sue, amazing, good. Taemin, yes. Ayani, yes. Sarah, yes. Evie Poo, perfect. Remember, I had still a little piece of cake left. Now that the cream is melted, it's not ice cream. It is just like cream. That's good too. Although I really liked it when it was frozen. That is good. Sue, amazing. No, that is a different form used for action verbs. What you're asking. And then there's a difference between those as well. We're not going to be talking about that because I'm not going into action verbs right now. But yeah, not for that. Okay, 좋은 것 같아요 is I think it is good. Past tense. Remember, we conjugate it normally. 좋아요, right? Past tense of that is just, you just attach this every single time. Once you get the yo form, you're done. Then we get the stem of this and we attach ton. Or if you know how to do it, you can just go straight to 좋았던, if that's easier. You get the 좋아 and then attach this and ton. That's a faster way to get done. 좋았던 것 같아요. So I think it was good. Past tense. Okay, now I'm going to give you a little tricky question here. I think it will be good. How would you say that? I think it will be good. So someone says, hey, what do you think about my idea? Oh, I think it'll be good. I think it will be good. What do you think the movie is going to be like? Oh, I think it'll be good. It should be good. I think it'll be good. What if you say 좋았던 것 같아요, like in English? I think it was good. Oh, if you say 같았어요. Well, I thought it was good. But you don't need to say that because that's like in reference to that time. I had thought at that time that it was good in the past before that time. So if there's a situation where you need to do that, like someone's asking about your thoughts at that moment, then you could say at that time, I thought that it was referring to something in the past, but you don't need to do that. I won't say that you don't ever use that sort of usage, but 99% of the time, you're not going to use that. It's not wrong. It's just not necessary. Yes, Keith, perfect. Evie Poo as well, perfect. If you're a green member, you get the perfect. If you're not a member, you'll still get a nice. Taemin, nice. Sue, amazing, nice. Ayani, nice. Okay, anyone else want to try? I'll give you the answer in just a second. But I mean, you already are saying it. I'll just give you here. Okay. 좋을. Remember, if it ends in, for the future tense, you attach this or this, and that's it. Just like the present tense. It's the same thing, same exceptions, but you attach this instead of this letter, you do it with this letter. 좋을 것 같아요. I think it will be good. Now we have a use for these future tense and past tense adjectives that we normally would never use by itself. So if you are making an adjective, actually, we're not done with this. I'll do a few more. But I will just say, if you're making an adjective and you want to say like the something, like the cool weather, the good food, the tasty whatever, it's always going to be present tense. You're never going to use, almost never. You could say like last year, the cat that was really really chubby that I saw in my mom's yard, well, I went back this year and it's now thin. You can say that, the cat that was chubby, and you can use the past tense of that. But except for like certain situations like that, most of the time you don't need to use the past tense adjective to directly describe something. You're just going to say the chubby cat is now thin, is what you say. The cat that's chubby is now thin. The chubby cat, like that. So most of the time when you're just using an adjective as is, it's going to be the present tense. So the un or nian is what you're going to use like 100% of the time when you're just saying something noun. But when you're saying think, you're going to use all three tenses. Past, present, and future. So let's do 재밌다. 재밌다. Hey, what do you think about the movie? You say, oh, I think it's fun. 재밌다 is like fun or entertaining. Yeah, I think it's fun. What do you think about the movie? Can you make the sentence? 재미, already here, the first part. 재미, eat. That's all I'm going to give you because that's what's not going to change. So I think it is fun. How would you say that? Or a roller coaster ride. What do you think about that roller coaster ride? Oh yeah, I think it's fun. Hilda. Thank you, Hilda. Oh, and for those of you a couple weeks ago who donated to the Jeremy Go See a Movie Fund, I just want to let you know we have set a date to go see. Actually, we're going to go see 2 movies because I think we had like $25 donated, and that's enough for more than 2 tickets. So we're going to go see 2 movies. We might see Moana this week if we can, but at least next week we also scheduled to go see Sonic. So we're going to go that. I went to the store and I bought some movie snacks, some like nice movie snacks. So we're going to bring some of those. And yeah, just so you know that your Jeremy fund, the movie fund, is actually going to be going toward a movie for Jeremy. That'll be definitely next week and possibly also this week, depending on his condition. He actually got really sick over the weekend, so we were going to be doing a movie and it got canceled, but we might do it later this week. Okay. Keith, perfect. Valeria, nice. I am bad, nice. Tammy, nice. Kunju, nice. Olivia, nice. Sue Amazing, nice. Ryan, nice. And Sue Amazing, I like the spelling. That's also a valid slang spelling. Ayani, nice. Mikey, sneak in snacks. They actually don't care. I mean, they don't want you bringing in like a bag of In-N-Out, like fast food and soda and stuff like that. But if you're just bringing snacks, they don't care because it's not really affecting them. They don't have to clean up after you, basically. They just don't want stuff that would be like messy, like actual food. Yeah, we almost ended up taking him to the ER. It was bad. It's the sickest he's ever been in his entire life, I think. And he's still sick today, but he's better. But yeah, he was, I don't know the Celsius, so I apologize for my friends who are outside of the US. He was almost 105 fever. So, which is like, if anyone knows, that's like very bad. But yeah, we took care of it, but he's still a bit sick. He has some symptoms. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on him, but it was too sick to go see a movie, unfortunately. Nice, Evie Poo. Perfect. Kai says, I've been to so many lives now at work that I find myself saying perfect. My wife, she hears me doing these live streams sometimes when she walks by the room, and she'll say to me sometimes when we're at the store, she'll be like, okay, perfect. Okay, so present tense, again, ita is an exception. You know, we said that 재미는. What about I think it was fun? So you've already seen the movie. And you're not describing, I think it is fun, like, yeah, I just saw it. But you're kind of saying like, oh yeah, I saw that a month ago. Yeah, I think it was fun. I think it was, past tense. How would we do that? Again, same thing. You start with this, 재미 something. I think it was fun. Again, the past tense is the one that doesn't have any exceptions. So you don't even need to know what the verb is. You just do the exact same thing. Oh, you are already writing the answers before. Olivia, nice. Ibeam, nice. Hyunju, nice. Sue, amazing, nice. Hilda, how long have you been in Korea? I'm not in Korea. I'm in the US. I'll be in Korea again, though. M says 40.5 Celsius. Yeah, it's like, it's not the temperature. It's not a temperature that your life's in danger. That, I believe, is 107 Fahrenheit, where if you retain it, if you're staying at 107 for a long enough time, I don't know how long it is, it could be a few days or whatever, then you can actually have like organ damage and stuff. 105, though, is like the temperature where if you can't get it down, you need to go to the hospital. I mean, even below that, it could be if you're not able to manage it. Fortunately, I have a very nice collection of medicine specifically for getting sick, because I'll get sick and, I'm American, so we just don't go to the hospital. So instead, got a lot of medicine we can take care of it with, all the proper stuff. I know what to use. So we were able to get his temperature down, which was nice. But yeah, I was totally ready. I was like, I had my keys ready. I'm like, oh, we got to go to the ER, I guess. This is bad. But yeah, now his fever's back down, but he's still got some other symptoms we're monitoring. Keith, perfect. And Evie Poo, perfect. Yes. So you conjugate it, 재밌어요, right? Then you get the past tense, which you remove the yo and attach the double S and 어요. Now you have the past tense. That's all you have to do to get the past tense. Now we need the stem of that and then ton. That's all you have to do. 재밌었던 것 같아요. So I think it was fun. One more tense. I think it will be fun. Hey, do you want to go with me to see a movie on Friday? Yeah, that sounds fun. I think it'll be fun. I think it will be fun. How do you make that? Salutes in fellow American. Yeah, I mean, I know the common Celsius and Fahrenheit for like weather. For common weather, I can convert because, if someone says, oh, it was this degree to get today. Oh, I know what they're talking about. But for actual like conversions, you have to do math. I don't math. Remember, I'm American. There's a few things I don't do. I don't do math. I don't do geography. Yes, Hyunju, nice. Sue, amazing, nice. Olivia, nice. Valeria, nice. Keith, perfect. Hilda asked if your son's mixed. Yes, he is a mix of basically me. I'm a mutt. I just have everything mixed. And then his mother is Korean, so half Korean, half whatever this is. Or as the English say, maths. That's right. Europeans and Asians aren't good at geography. I know, this is a stereotype. It's not really true that we're not good at geography, but a lot of us aren't. But that's for a different reason. 재밌을 것 같아요. Nice. 36 to 37. Yeah, something like that. That sounds about right. Because, I mean, you guys don't even know what I am. Would you even believe me if I told you I was half Hispanic? I'm just a mess. Okay, so future tense. Remember, it's the same as the present tense with this or this, but instead of these letters, it's this. So that's it. 재밌을 것 같아요. I think it will be fun. Okay, let's do one more example of this. Just one more. The weather's hot. 덥다. I think it's hot. 오늘 날씨가 today's weather is a little bit 덥다. I want you to say that is 덥다. I think the weather today is a little bit hot. So yeah, 날씨 어때요? 오늘 날씨가 좀 것 같아요. Count up to 5 in Spanish. That doesn't prove anything. I'm in California. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can say other Spanish like Yo quiero Taco Bell. And, what's the other thing they say? Hold on. Por favor, me entiende Alejandro de los Puertos. Something like that. But I don't speak Spanish. Hey, un gato en mis pantalones, arriba! Yeah, I do actually know what that means. But I only know as much Spanish as I've learned through osmosis, just growing up in California. I do not speak any. Sombrero. Yes. What is your Spanish? No, I don't think so. Where's my bear? Isn't bear... Oh, I think I know the word for bear. Isn't that like oro or something like that? Bear in Spanish. I know it's something like that. Oso. But Kikat is actually not oso. Kikat is osa. Yeah, Kikat is osa. Yes. Okay, Keith, perfect. Hyunju, nice. Olivia, nice. S-Chan, nice. Sue, amazing, nice. M, nice. Tammy, nice. Ayani, nice. Valeria, nice. Sarah Sadie, nice. Panther, nice. Evie Poo, perfect. Okay, so 덥다, present tense. Again, 더, you remember, you remove the P and you add an U, so U, and it always is just going to be un. So 더운, 오늘 날씨가 좀 더운 것 같아요. I think the weather today is a little bit hot. Great. What if we have this? 어제 날씨가 좀 yesterday, I think the weather yesterday was a little bit hot. Again, was hot. So you're saying a thing that was hot. It is like. So it is like a thing that was hot. But by that, you're expressing your opinion that I think it was like a thing that was hot. If that makes any sense. I know it doesn't, but that's literally where it comes from. I think it was a little hot yesterday. En français, bear est ours. Bear est ours. Something like that. The brown bear. Yeah, Kikat's over here. Although actually, there are actually 6 of them. But this is the one you're probably most familiar with. Yeah, they're talking about you. Don't say that. Don't. Who taught you that word? Oh, Kikat knows some inappropriate stuff. Kikat. Yeah, this is Kikat. My tablet just died, so I'm going to look over here to read comments. Hold on. Do you sell your bear from... Do I sell this bear? Good gracious, no. I bought every single one of these. I am the owner of every single one of these bears. This color, this scarf, they made them back in like 2010, I think is when they produced them. 2010, 2011, around then is when they were manufacturing them. They were sold through Walmart in the US, I believe. And they only made a small number of each one. They had different colors. I have a couple different colors also. But all of these ones I own. And I believe I have all of them because I found them all on the internet. I have like 6 of them. But yeah. This is the one you all know from the video. But there's also, yeah, that's right. There's also stunt double version. There's one, yeah. There's a stunt double one. There's also another one that's that has like a slightly different there's one that's like a little bit more matted fur because it was pressed up against. Yeah, that's right. It was pressed in the box a lot. There's another one that's like different color scarf. We removed the scarf and changed it. Yeah, that's right. That's for the other series, not for the main series though. Yeah. No, it's not for sale though. Yes, they're vintage. Vintage is the right word. Yeah. A middle-aged man talking to a teddy. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, you can hear her though. Maybe it's just because she's far from the mic. Yeah, I mean, I could hear her clearly, but it is true. She's a little bit far from the mic, so you might not be able to hear what she's saying though. Okay. Are they valuable? Oh yeah, yeah, you're pretty valuable. Yeah, I didn't say it. Yeah, I said you are valuable. Okay. I'm gonna check here. Let's see. Totem, perfect, Keith. Evie Poo, perfect. My head's turned because my tablet died. Vintage from 2010. Make you feel old here. Well, the hat is the same thing. The hat is also, they made, I believe at the time they made probably only 10,000 of these exact hats. And then they no longer printed them. So if you find this hat, it's very rare, but there are still some of these out in the wild in Korea. If you go to a hat seller and you show them a picture, they might have one of these still in stock. But it was like one of the varieties of a company, one of the common hat makers that made a bunch of these at the time. And I used to see them a lot more often, but now I rarely, if ever, see them. The last time I saw it was once in 2021, and then when I first bought it in 2009, and then I did see it once again in like 2013-ish, but it's not a common hat. Okay, you can wait down there, Keycat. Let's see. Her accent is too thick for me. Did you hear that? I'm not going to tell him that. No, that's mean. Yeah, no, she says thank you. Okay, so 날씨가 좀, remember you conjugate it 더워요, right? 더워요 first. That's like 90% of the work. You're done. Now we need to get the past tense. So instead of 더워요, it's 더웠어요, right? When we get the stem of that, 더웠던. I won't say it. Okay. What about this? 내일, tomorrow, the weather. I think tomorrow the weather will be a little hot. And all these sentences we've done today are 100% native sounding. These are not like textbookish sentences you guys are making. These are real. You literally could say the sentence, 날씨가 좀 추웠던 것 같아요. 날씨가 좀 더웠어요. 좀 더웠던 것 같아요. 오늘 날씨가 좀 더운 것 같아요. 내일 날씨가 좀 것 같아요. These are natural sentences you can say. I think the weather will be a little hot tomorrow. That's why it's so important to learn these different tenses, because this is literally what you're going to use. I keep trying to grab my tablet and it's not here. It's dead. So I have to look over here again. How much money did you pay for the hat? I actually paid, the first time I bought it, it was 5,000원. So about like $4 at the time. And then I bought a second one, which is actually, I left in Korea, so I don't have to bring my hat back and forth. And the second one I paid, I think it was 10 or 15,000. I'll just say 10,000 because I don't remember. But yeah, something like that, about $10 or so when I bought it in 2021. I randomly found it, not in Seoul. I've never seen them in Seoul anymore. I even went to the actual store that sells this company, this hat. They don't have it, but there was a small, I almost said small lady. I meant to say small, like a little side store, like a lady with a small store on the side of the road. And she had one of these hats I saw randomly in the back, along with a bunch of the other company's newer hats. And so I bought it there. 더울 것 같아요. Perfect. Olivia, nice. Hyunju, nice. Sue, amazing, nice. Ayoni, nice. Yeah, it's actually not too bad. Hats usually are going to be around 10 to 15 these days. And the company that makes it, they make a lot of hats that look similar, but if you want this exact hat, you'd have to check a lot of stores. And this isn't even my original hat. I have another one which was original. That one you can't find anymore. It's completely gone. Not any, even like the side stores, they don't have it. It doesn't exist. And I only have one of those. So that's why I usually wear other hats. I kind of mix it up so that way in case I lose one of them, it's not too big of a deal. Hope that. Yes. Okay. So again, we do the exact same thing we did for the present tense, right? We did 덥다 becomes 더우. Normally you get 더운 for present tense, but since we're doing future tense, it's 더울. You just replace the N with an L to get future. So that's it. 내일 날씨가 좀 더울 것 같아요. I think the weather will be a little hot tomorrow. So the I think it will be, I think it was, I think it is, that tense is not conveyed through the verb at the end. It's just I think. You don't need to say I thought it was unless you need to convey that I no longer think so. Like, oh, well, I thought it was like that, but I was wrong. Then you could do that, although there are different forms to say I thought something and I was wrong anyway. just use 같아요. Now, one more note. This is not standard Korean, but this is what you're going to encounter most of the time. This is technically kind of a Seoul dialect thing, but it's really common. You'll hear it everywhere in Korean. 같아 or 같아요 is actually more commonly pronounced not as 같아, but as 같해 and 같아요. This is how it's pronounced. Again, you won't never write it like this. Sometimes people will write it like this. 같아요, like this, they'll write it like this. Though this is wrong. It's supposed to always be written like this, even if you're trying to express this. But it pronounced as 같아요. So 같아요 is how you pronounce it more often. In fact, I do it. I don't say 같아요. 그럴 것 같아요. I don't say that. I say 같아요. Like 99% of the time I'm going to say, unless I'm trying to impress someone with my Korean, then I'll use 같아요 because it's more formal. But 같아요 is what most people will say. So be aware of that. But when you write it, write this. Okay, 1 second. Let me just check on Jeremy. I can hear him. He's coughing a bit. I just want to make sure he's doing okay. Yeah, he's fine. He was just coughing. Okay. I am going to take some questions just for a little bit and then we'll go. We had a full stream. We did a lot of stuff today, a lot of practice. Feel free to ask any questions. 좀 더울 것 같아요. Yes, EVPoo. Perfect. Korean words pronounced differently than they're written. Sending as much positivity and well wishes. Yeah. He usually doesn't stay sick for very long. He's they call it 열 덩어리, like a ball of heat, because he's just always like running around. Always has unlimited energy. So he tends to get better pretty quickly when he gets sick. But his other symptom, even though his fever's gone, he's mostly better. His other symptoms like coughing is still there. So got to keep giving him medicine and stuff. I think his mom made him some 꿀차. Honey tea or lemon tea. Lemon tea. So he's been drinking that a lot the past couple days. What's the meaning of the grammar? 하기까지 하다? To do up until? I don't think I have a lesson about that separately. No, I don't think I've done a video on that. Everyone is getting sick. Yeah, everyone's always getting sick. So it's nothing new, but yeah, it's and then it's especially worse as the weather gets cold and people stay indoors more often, and it just spreads to more people. 같아요. Yeah, that's how you're gonna say it. Cosma asks, what's the cut that Patreon takes? I believe it's 10%. Or yeah, it's like 5% that Patreon takes or something, and then another 5% for like the transaction fees. So I think it comes out to about 10%, although I don't exactly remember, but something around there. It's not too much. If it was more, I wouldn't use it. Hey, Kai! Top of the hour! I've been streaming for a long time, haven't I? Oh wait, not Hilda. I was like, wait a minute. Just like you donate and I just give it to Hilda. Thanks so much, Hilda. You're always so nice, Hilda. And she's like, oh, sure. Top of the hour. Where did you get your magic Korean wig? So it's actually, so dumb. Coming up with fake stories for fake things that don't exist. I grew it. I drank a lot of kimchi juice over the course of a few months and slowly just grew it out. And when it was long enough, I shaved and it just kind of came off in one piece and I can put it back on whenever I need it. But you won't see me wearing it when I'm teaching because I feel like, I don't mean to like show off my special Korean skills like that. But I do wear it in private when I'm just hanging out with my friends. If I'm just walking around Korea, you'll see it. But yeah. KitKat 몇 살이에요? KitKat is now, I can't remember exactly. Did I get her in 2010? I think I got her in 2010 or 2011. Like right before I started my channel. So then she would be like 14, 15, 14, 13, somewhere around there. I'm pretty much a teenager now. But I don't know how old KitKat was when I first bought her. Fake? It's not real? I trust... No. Like, it's real. Like, I grew it. Like, my real hair. I mean... 빌리 선생님, 대단하는... So, 하는 would be for action verbs. Close, though. It would simply be the descriptive verb form that we just did with un or a nian. Can K-pop help me understand poetry? If so, how can I study K-pop to understand poetry? Are you trying to understand poetry or are you trying to understand K-pop? If you're trying to understand K-pop, you study K-pop lyrics. If you're trying to understand poetry, you study poetry because they're not the same thing. Although K-pop does use a lot of poetic words. Besides that, the structure of it is not going to be the same as poetry. Through the power of kimchi, anything is possible. Yes, that's the extra Captain Planet character that we never saw. He's in the Korean version. Earth, air, water, fire, kimchi. And they're like, sorry, dude, we don't have room. But so they had to cut him out of the American broadcast version. But the Korean broadcast version, he's there. It's like, don't wait up, guys. I'll catch up with you. Okay. What's the first thing you eat when you get to Korea and the first thing you eat when you get back to California? That's a good question. The first thing I eat when I get to Korea, it changes, but often it's going to be something like 분식점. So that would be like sundae is really common, something that I have really, really quickly. Sundae is one of my favorite Korean foods, or maybe Isak toast, or jjajangmyeon. Those are the things I usually go for right when I get to Korea. Like the very first day I'm in Korea, I just want something to eat. It's going to be something like that. Something from a 분식점. 분식점 is just the places that sell like all that sort of fast food stuff. Like street food. Usually it's that. And then when I come back to the US, most often it's either a hamburger or pizza. Because those are two things that just don't really exist in Korea. At least not at the quality I want. Or a third one would be Mexican food. Because again, there's no like real Mexican food in Korea. And there are people who will tell you, oh no, there's real Mexican food. They've been in Korea too long. There's not really I don't accept it. It's not the same. It's good. There is good like Mexican style food in Korea. Yeah, I'll say that. But like actual Mexican food doesn't really exist. So it might be Mexican food when I come back, or sometimes I'll feel like, Americanized Mexican food, right? Like Taco Bell. I know it's not Mexican food, but it's like it's a type of food you can't get over there. Or a hamburger or pizza, and maybe it'll be all three of them in 3 days in a row. Are 꿀차 and lemon차 the same? No, 꿀 is honey. Lemon차 is lemon tea. So these are just two types of teas that Jeremy's been drinking lately. K-pop, for some reason, is hard to understand. Like, I can know the words, but can't understand the sentence. Yeah, K-pop's very hard. Same with Korean dramas. They are at the top of the Korean difficulty, the spectrum of Korean difficulty for like things that are hard to understand is like Korean dramas, and K-pop are going to be right up there. Variety shows are like way down here. Mana, like comics, are also going to be around down here as well. But like novels are going to be like way up here, and K-pop and K-dramas are like right here. So it's pretty much like one of the hardest things that you could try to understand. So Five Guys doesn't taste like Five Guys in Korea. I haven't tried the Five Guys in Korea, but what I understand is that the Five Guys in Korea is actually comparable not to the US Five Guys, but to the European Five Guys in the UK. So that's what I heard. And what I hear from people over there is they say the UK Five Guys is not as good as the American Five Guys. They have a different system, like different type of ingredients that they use. And the Korean one is supposedly based on that. It's their like international version of their menu. So from people I've talked with, again, I haven't tried it yet. From people I've talked with, they say it's not as good as the American one. I would be curious to try out for myself because the prices are better than America over in Korea for Five Guys. Does pizza taste like the States in Korea? No, they have Korean pizza over there, which is great. It's just different. The reason is a lot of the ingredients we use on our pizzas are actually very expensive in Korea, like dairy. So because cheese is so expensive over there, they substitute cheese, they reduce the amount of cheese, but by reducing the amount of cheese, you have to make up for that by changing the rest of the pizza. So if you remove cheese, you only give a little bit of cheese. Well, how can you make the pizza still taste good? Well, you add different types of sauce, not tomato sauce, but maybe let's do a sweet sauce. So you forget that there's supposed to be a lot of cheese. The dough also, they reduce the amount of dough that they give you. So they make the pizza crust is usually much thinner. They'll add a lot more vegetable toppings on it. You'll have different types of vegetables that are cheaper instead of like salami, which can be really expensive. They might put on like tiny pieces of bacon, Korean style thinner bacon or something. So it's just different types of ingredients that they use, and you get a different product. That's also really good. It's just, I wouldn't call it just pizza. Like if you think pizza, you would think like New York style pizza. It's not that, but it's Korean pizza and it's good in its own way, but it's not usually what I feel like. With the exception of like Pizza School, which is so dirt cheap and so simplistic that it's actually really good because they don't do anything to it to make it fancy. There's like, it's just plain like dough and cheese and that's it. Like there's nothing fancy. So it's really cheap. Yeah, cheese is expensive in Korea. So even if you wanted to buy cheese, like in the US, you could go down to like Aldi or Walmart and buy a big bag of 1 pound of shredded cheddar cheese, right? And it's like, how much would that be? $3, $4, $5 if you buy like the actual brand instead of the store brand. In Korea, that bag doesn't exist. There is no such thing as like bag of shredded cheese you can just get at the supermarket. If you want that, you can go to like a restaurant supply store and they'll have it. Or what you can usually do is they'll sell like individual little pouches of a small amount of cheddar cheese that's used for salad. Like you're supposed to sprinkle it over your salad. And that might be a few dollars for a small bag of like maybe a handful total distributed into little packages. That's what I've seen. And then when you buy blocks of cheese, if you're not buying the actual block, which can be a bit expensive, you can buy processed cheese is really common. So in Korean, they call slice cheese, basically sliced cheese. That's what we would consider processed cheese. And they have all sorts of flavors of processed cheese. Where in the US, we just have American cheese, right? It's just the orange one and that's it. Maybe you might see like Swiss or something, but that's it. In Korea, they'll have like Swiss cheese, mozzarella cheese, cheddar cheese, like light cheddar cheese, like all these different varieties of processed cheese that you can use. So it's just different. And if you want to buy those little string cheese, right? We'll buy like a bag of string cheese for a couple bucks. One of those string cheese is going to be a couple bucks. I think like you can buy them for 1,500won or something, or 2,000won. So like $1 or $2 for one of those string cheese. So it's not unobtainable. It's not prohibitively expensive. It's just like, think the price of cheese and like double or triple it. And then you have the price. So you can still get it. It's just more than you might want to pay. The strongest ancient gene I have is lactose intolerance. Yeah, and most Koreans are like that as well. So you don't really, it's not really a big deal. How brutal are Korean summers? I've heard it compared to East Coast summers. So it's not like tropical rainforest summers, but it's kind of like it's humid. So think like 80% humidity is common. And the temperature, though, itself doesn't get too high. It's usually going to be in the high 80s. On like the hottest days, it might be in like the low 90s. But usually like high 80s, low 90s, and 80% humidity is what you're going to see in Korea. And that's like if you're outside in the sun in a really hot area, it might be like low 90s. But it just feels horrible because your clothes stick to your body from all the humidity. You need to drink a lot of water so you can kind of make it through it. But the actual temperature isn't usually too bad on most days. But some days it can get just as hot as it can in the US, where it'll reach like the high 90s and plus humidity. And then it's just, oh my goodness. But still, it's less than what you're going to experience in some places in the US. So. And then winters are freezing and windy. In some areas, it can be really windy. So it's like really cold, but then the wind's also blowing on your face and like freezing your face at the same time. So if you're going there in the winter, I recommend wearing neibok. Neibok, ne is inside, bok is clothing. So that would be like underclothing. So like thermals, we would say thermals. Wear thermals if you have them, if you're okay wearing them. So what I don't, but usually what I do is I'll wear like 2 pairs of socks for starters. I'll wear gloves. I have nice wool gloves that you can open up the fingers so I can still use my fingers if I need to like operate a camera, and then I can close it up. I'll have earmuffs. You can have a scarf. I'll have like a thing that covers my head as well. Not this hat, but like I might wear like I don't know, like a thick something for my head. And then I'll also wear my hood over it. I'll have a coat on top of a hoodie over a shirt, maybe a long sleeve shirt over an undershirt. And then what they also sell in Korea, hotpack. Let me check if there's a brand you need to get, or it's just any of them. Nah. So hot pack, they have lots of kinds of hot packs. It's just a little pad that gets hot. They have some that like you heat yourself, or my favorite are buchinen. The buchida is to stick, like to adhere. So the type that you stick on you. So the way it works, you don't stick them on your skin because that's not safe. But they have hot packs where you peel one side, and when you peel it, it activates it, and it gets warm. It actually gets quite warm, and you put it over your clothes. So not on your skin, but you put it like directly over maybe your lower shirt, or maybe underneath, but your hoodie, but facing inward or whatever. Put 2 of those on your belly, 1 of them on your back, or 2 of them on your back, and you walk around like that, and you feel nice and warm, and they work pretty good, and they'll last all day. Like I'll stick them on in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning or 6 a.m. when I leave, and they're still kind of warm by like 6 o'clock at night. Even though they're not hot anymore, they last a long time because your body heat kind of, makes them last longer, and they're not exposed to the air, like the cold air. So I would definitely get some hotpack if you're also in Korea. Wear long sleeve shirts, but you'll be okay. If you have gloves, you have a coat, you have something to protect your ears, or if you need it, your neck, something to protect your head. And then, yeah, you'll be okay. It's not like you're going to die freezing cold, but it is really cold. Sounds like Michigan. Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. It's not. Some days it does get really low. Like it'll get like -8 or -10 or something like that. But most days you'll see it'll be like 0, -2, something like that. Okay, that's enough for today. I put them in my boots. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, if you have, I just recommend wearing 2 pairs of socks. That's all I'll say, because your feet are going to get freezing, and then make sure you have gloves. Every winter I do die. You die and then are reborn, like the phoenix. Someone asked, if I follow your lessons, will I become fluent in Korean? No. If you follow anyone's lessons, you will not become fluent in Korean. You need to do your own practice. But at the same time, if you follow anyone's lessons, but you do your own practice, you will become fluent in Korean, if that makes you feel better. It's not so much the resource or the teacher that you're following, although that helps. It's not so much that, it's how much are you doing on your own to use what you're learning. Like I taught you all the rules about conjugating today, but that's useless unless you actually go out and experience that and you hear it and you use it. You could have another teacher that doesn't even teach you this. They just say, oh, I think it's like un or nian, and you're good. There you go. Go ahead. And that's all you know. But you're out in the wild, you're hearing it, and you're hearing people, oh, wait, I heard them use this. Oh, I see. That must be the future tense. Oh, I heard that. And you're still figuring it out. You're going to be okay. So it's not so much the resource you're using, but it's what you're doing. I'm here to help you to reach whatever level you want. Sure, you could reach fluency through me, but you could also reach fluency through anyone as long as you're doing the work yourself as well. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to check on Jeremy again. I think he's doing fine, but I'm probably going to get him some more medicine. Take care, everyone. And next week, we'll have a regular lesson, and I will see you next week. Krum? Oh, yeah, and thank you again to our sponsors at Astra, Kai, and Hilda. Krum? 다음에 또 봐. Oh, hey, Kai! Hit me with that last minute donation right when I was going to close the stream. Kai, what's what Kai say? Kai says, thanks for everything, Billy. Congratulations on 700,000. I'm proud to support you. Thank you so much, Kai. Thank you, everyone. Now I will really see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.